Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. He resolved to ensure overwhelming strength, never relying on being weaker to overcome the strong, nor would he challenge those beyond his level. Time to grind proficiency. The wind control skill is about to reach master level. With more spiritual power at the fourth layer of chi refining, the frequency of using the wind control skill increased, doubling the efficiency of grinding its proficiency level. The wind control skill was only a little over 100 proficiency points away from master level. After a night of hard grinding, he finally reached it. Master level wind control skill is truly powerful. The breeze robe's effect is quite good too. Rising at the crack of dawn, Jia-Ren skillfully activated the wind control skill, transforming into a swift figure that rapidly flew away. He felt as if he were sailing on the wind. His speed increased by more than 50% compared to before. Compared to the entry-level wind control skill, his speed had quadrupled. The wind control skill's potential hasn't been fully tapped. Above master level, there's grandmaster level, and grandmaster level can even break its limits. How fast would a limit-breaking wind control skill be? It's truly something to look forward to. After preparing and eating breakfast in the early morning, Jia-Ren was getting ready to set up his stall when he saw a male cultivator emerge from the stone house behind his. The man's hair was disheveled, his Taoist robe worn haphazardly, and he kept looking around furtively, like a thief. Upon seeing Jia-Ren emerge, the man's face showed an awkward yet polite smile. This one's a novice, not thick-skinned enough yet, Jia-Ren thought. Taoist Jia, you're up bright and early. The man greeted. A female cultivator, wearing a revealing belly band and a thin shawl with nothing else underneath, her exquisite figure on full display, then appeared. As if she had forgotten any previous displeasure, she smiled and greeted Jia-Ren while hanging up drenched bedding to dry. An indescribable scent emanated from it. Noticing Jia-Ren's gaze, the woman didn't mind her state of undress at all. To give Jia-Ren a better view, she purposefully turned sideways, allowing him a glimpse of her perfect curves. Taoist Jia, interested in coming inside to discuss the great Tao? Always trying to solicit customers, truly a qualified seafood merchant, Jia-Ren thought with disdain. He decisively refused, turning his cold back to the woman. Why has his temperament changed so much? The woman wondered. Could he have switched to practicing a cultivation technique emphasizing purity and detachment? Unaware of the female cultivator's thoughts, Jia-Ren arrived at the Northern District Market. He paid the one fragmented spirit stone stall fee and found a good spot to set up. He didn't trust the second-tier dealers enough to transact at his residence. The market was safer. Over 14,000 pieces of bait. Can the second-tier dealers even buy it all? After setting up his stall, he casually sent a sound transmission talisman to the second-tier dealer he knew and waited for him to show up. Jia-Ren didn't stay idle. He took the opportunity to purchase some pots and pans. He occasionally glanced at other stalls, hoping to find a bargain. He found no bargains but did notice many strange and curious trinkets. He acquired a hollow poison sword for a few dozen gold pieces. It wasn't a magic artifact and thus not very valuable, but its hollow core could be filled with poison. Gold held little value among cultivators. It could only purchase ordinary food like rice and oil. Any item with even a hint of spiritual energy was priced in spirit stones or fragmented spirit stones. For mortals to use? The Great Wilderness was inherently a land of hardship. The limited safe, arable land on its periphery wouldn't be extravagantly used for ordinary crops. Regular food was mainly supplied by visiting merchant caravans at exorbitant prices. Even cultivators found it difficult to get by, leaving no viable environment for mortals to survive. Mortals were exceedingly rare in the Great Wilderness Market, where loose cultivators congregated. Gold could also serve as a lower-tier currency to fragmented spirit stones. The exchange rate typically ranged from 100 to 200 gold for one fragmented spirit stone, though prices frequently fluctuated. Exchanging fragmented spirit stones for gold was easy, but acquiring fragmented spirit stones with gold was difficult. Time ticked by, and soon it was midday, yet the second-tier dealer was nowhere to be seen. A sense of unease began to creep into Jia-Ren's heart. Could something have happened? The bait business had also hit rock bottom. Not a single piece had been sold so far. Could it be that the loose cultivators in the Northern District aren't interested in the spirit fish from Lake of Smoky Waves? Impossible. In just a short time, he had seen over a dozen stalls selling spirit fish from Lake of Smoky Waves, and their business was booming. Lake of Smoky Waves still has spirit fish, it hasn't dried up. The bait business shouldn't be saturated yet. What went wrong? Compared to the second-tier dealers selling high-priced bait, his stall offered a price advantage. It was inconceivable that no loose cultivators would make inquiries. Various thoughts flashed through Jiren's mind, causing him anxiety and a vague sense of disquiet. Selling bait was currently his only source of income, and he was critically short of spirit stones. Jiren desperately hoped nothing would go wrong with his bait business. He sent the second sound transmission talisman. Time ticked by, but still, there was no response. It felt as if he had been abandoned. The second-tier dealer must have run into trouble. Otherwise, it was impossible that he wouldn't even have time to reply to a sound transmission talisman. He approached a stall selling spirit fish and inquired of the fishmonger. "Fellow Taoist, do you know if anything has happened at Lake of Smoky Waves recently?" Thinking he was a customer, the stall owner greeted him warmly. But upon hearing the question about Lake of Smoky Waves and suspecting a competitor, the owner's expression soured instantly. "You'd better ask someone else." Jiren questioned several other loose cultivators. They either knew nothing about what had happened at Lake of Smoky Waves or coldly dismissed him. "Sigh, I can only make a trip there myself. It's getting late, better wait for tomorrow." The stall fee of one fragmented spirit stone had to be recouped. The results were disappointing. By the time dusk approached, he still hadn't sold a single piece of bait. On the contrary, the number of stalls selling spirit fish had increased. Due to the glut of spirit fish, the price of spirit fish meat had plummeted to one fragmented spirit stone for 2 Jian. Losing one fragmented spirit stone soured Jiren's mood considerably. That night, he didn't eat Kinya spiritual rice, reverting to his mixture of spirit rice and ordinary rice. "I'll go take a look first thing tomorrow." The next day, maintaining his habit of rising early, he confirmed all his preparations were in order. The poison thorn bottle and lime bag were placed within easy reach. The hollow poison sword was loaded with a mixture of lime and poisonous spines, perhaps it would prove useful. Only after checking that his magic artifacts were in order did he set off for Lake of Smoky Waves. Lake of Smoky Waves was not far from the Great Wilderness Market. As the first loose cultivator to pioneer fishing for spirit fish in the lake, he knew the way well. After an absence of 8 days, Jiren once again set foot by Lake of Smoky Waves. Compared to his solo fishing expeditions more than 10 days earlier, the lake was now bustling with activity. Although it was still early, nearly 200 loose cultivators had already gathered near the lake, with more arriving continuously. The fame of Lake of Smoky Waves had spread, attracting a multitude of loose cultivators. It could be called their paradise, with numbers at its peak exceeding 500 people. Many loose cultivators who lacked a trade and struggled to earn spirit stones came to Lake of Smoky Waves to eke out a living. Countless wooden boats and small spirit boats floated on the lake's surface, bobbing with the waves and disappearing into the swirling mist that clung to the water. Loose cultivators stood on the boats, casting nets into the water and hauling in catches of spirit fish. Those with bountiful hauls beamed with radiant smiles. It was only at this moment that Jiren finally understood why his bait wasn't selling. Fishing had been replaced by netting. No matter how skilled one was at fishing, or how good the bait, it could never compare to catching fish with nets. No wonder the bait wasn't selling, while the number of spirit fish kept increasing and their prices kept falling. The bait business was dead. Only then did Jiren have a stark realization. The 14,000 pieces of fish bait he had accumulated were now dead stock, unsellable. This made his already modest life even more difficult. Jiren had known the bait business wouldn't last forever, he had just hoped to make one last profit. Plans, after all, can never keep up with change. "Taoist Jia has arrived?" A loose cultivator who had previously bought bait from his stall called out, his tone tinged with mockery, drawing the attention of the crowd. "Everyone's netting fish now, nobody's buying bait anymore." "Fellow Taoist?" Jiren asked. "Do you know of a Taoist LV Hang? He used to sell bait here at Lake of Smoky Waves." LV Hang was the real name of the second-tier dealer. He had been a significant client, but was now missing. Those present were all regulars at Lake of Smoky Waves, perhaps they knew of the second-tier dealer's whereabouts. "That crooked merchant surnamed LV?" One of them sneered. "Are you in cahoots with him?" Another accused. "He sold the bait at exorbitant prices, 3 pieces for one fragmented spirit stone. He made ill-gotten gains and was robbed and killed for it." Robbed and killed? Jiren felt a chill in his heart. Though he had already guessed this outcome, he couldn't help but feel a grim sense of shared vulnerability. Selling bait at Lake of Smoky Waves was extremely dangerous, it was bound to attract covetous eyes. And sure enough, the second-tier dealer was dead. If not for his own caution and refusal to chase excessive profits, he might have been the one lying dead. Chapter 19-19 Bizarre Mist Maiden. The cultivation world is cruel and fraught with danger at every turn. The death of cultivators is all too common. Perhaps it won't be long before Jiren grows accustomed to it. Speaking of which, I still have to thank that unscrupulous merchant, Jiren thought. Had he not sold high-priced bait, loose cultivators wouldn't have dared to enter the Lake of Smoky Waves to fish. The Lake of Smoky Waves wouldn't have witnessed such prosperity. Rumors of a great demon in the Lake of Smoky Waves had circulated for a long time. Cultivators were wary of it, daring only to linger on the lake's edges, not venture deep within. Since the supreme grade bait appeared, catching spirit fish with ordinary bait had become nearly impossible, forcing cultivators to reluctantly buy the expensive alternative. If they were lucky, they could still earn some spirit stones. If they were unlucky, they were simply working for nothing for the greedy merchants. Not wanting their efforts to be in vain, some bold individuals ventured into the Lake of Smoky Waves and caught the first spirit fish with their nets. This signaled the beginning of a new era, as more and more loose cultivators dared to enter the Lake of Smoky Waves to fish. Why spend spirit stones on high-priced bait for spirit fish when one could fish unrestricted? Since yesterday, the spirit fish population in the Lake of Smoky Waves had experienced a boom. This was a carnival for the loose cultivators, all of whom earned some spirit stones, more or less. As the spirit fish catch surged, the price of the fish also plummeted rapidly in the increasingly competitive market. Time to change professions. Jiren was frustrated. His business was gone, and he was stuck with the bait. After one last look at the Lake of Smoky Waves, he turned and prepared to leave. No matter what, the bait had still helped him make his first pot of gold. Life was much better than it had been half a month ago. What is that thing? Ah! No, don't. Over the Lake of Smoky Waves, a piercing scream echoed. Loose cultivators had encountered some terrifying creature and screamed out a warning. Could it be the great demon rumored to inhabit the Lake of Smoky Waves? Jiren wondered. Was it angered that the spirit fish were being preyed upon by loose cultivators, and had it brazenly made a move? Thinking of the various rumors about the Lake of Smoky Waves, the cultivators dared not linger on the lake and hurriedly sped away in their boats. As appealing as spirit fish were, life was far more precious. There was no need to risk it all. One by one, the boats on the lake made the unanimous decision to leave the Lake of Smoky Waves. They wanted to leave, but the Lake of Smoky Waves wouldn't allow it. The mist that perennially enveloped the Lake of Smoky Waves seemed to come alive, rushing towards the shore and quickly engulfing the boats on the lake. Cries of agony continued as cultivators encountered unknown beasts in the mist. Jiren's brow furrowed, and he didn't dare to hesitate for a moment. Activating his wind control skill, he ran frantically towards the great wilderness market. There are monsters in the lake. Monsters. As Jiren moved with the wind control skill, he couldn't help but look back and witnessed a horrifying scene. The mist had transformed into a terrifying entity, sweeping towards cultivators ashore. The moment it touched a cultivator's body, all moisture was sucked out from within. In the blink of an eye, their bodies turned into mummified husks of skin and bones. Once they touched the white mist of the Lake of Smoky Waves, no one could escape from it, forever remaining at the Lake of Smoky Waves. What kind of monster is it? It's too terrifying. I shall never come to the Lake of Smoky Waves again. Witnessing the terrifying sight, loose cultivators wished their parents had blessed them with extra legs. They hurriedly activated their wind control skill or sped up with similar speed-enhancing treasures, desperately escaping towards Great Wilderness City. There indeed were monsters in the Lake of Smoky Waves. They regretted entering the Lake of Smoky Waves. Unfortunately, it was too late. They had no chance for regret as they were enveloped in mist and turned into mummies without any resistance. Whether one was in the early stage of chi cultivation or the mid-stage, even if they deployed a spirit chi protective barrier and defense artifacts, it was all useless. In the face of the white mist, they were as fragile as babies. In the blink of an eye, 99% of the more than 200 loose cultivators gathered at the Lake of Smoky Waves had perished. Only Jiren and a few other quick-witted, fortunate individuals managed to escape with their lives. The mist continued to spread into the distance, unceasingly. It was even faster than the wind control skill. No. A loose cultivator employing the wind control skill, with a speedster boots magic artifact on his feet, still couldn't outrun the white mist. As the mist touched him, he turned into a mummified corpse. Among them, there was only one exception. Jiren sped away, outstripping the other cultivators by a great distance. Even though the spread of the mist was alarmingly fast, it still couldn't catch up to his vanishing figure. He was immensely grateful for his mastery of the wind control skill. Otherwise, he would surely have been buried forever in the Lake of Smoky Waves like the more than 200 loose cultivators. Don't go to the Lake of Smoky Waves, he yelled, seeing other loose cultivators still heading towards the lake to fish, and hastened to warn them. Do you take me for a fool? One loose cultivator retorted, not believing him. He almost came to blows with Jiren, thinking he was trying to cut off their source of income. Good words could not persuade those determined to rush to their deaths. No one could hold them back. Bizarre demons? After walking only a few steps further, they realized the situation was amiss. It was too late to turn and flee, and they became newly desiccated corpses. Bizarre demons? So it was bizarre demons, not great demons, Jiren mused. Looking back, Jiren could only make out a woman's silhouette within the hazy mist, distantly observing the fleeing figures. It was only at this moment that he noticed something was off. All the loose cultivators who had escaped from the lake of smoky waves were surrounded by a thin layer of mist. They had already been infected by a strange, malevolent chi. The mist lady's gaze was like that of death itself. The closer one was, the greater the effect. The very breath exhaled by the fleeing loose cultivators seemed to animate, their bodies withering at a visible rate. Jiren was the furthest away and least affected, with only a small amount of eerie white mist swirling around him. Even though I was quite cautious, I still fell into the trap. Jiren could feel the moisture in his body disappearing, as if being drawn out by an invisible force. At that critical moment, a burning heat surged in his chest. The evil warding talisman he wore close to his skin ignited, forming a faint red halo that shielded Jiren, quickly dissipating the mist like malevolent chi. Evil warding talisman. Jiren was incredibly relieved, his prior caution had saved his life. Bizarre demons? He thought in shock. I never expected to encounter such a thing. Is the Lake of Smoky Waves its territory? Thinking back to my fishing in the Lake of Smoky Waves, it felt like dancing on the edge of a knife. Jiren dared not look at the mist lady and kept his head down as he hurried towards the Great Wilderness Market. Moving at full speed, in less than the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Jiren saw the Great Wilderness Market. Never before had he felt such an affinity towards the Great Wilderness Market as he did at that moment. I should be safe now. As Great Wilderness Market belonged to the Five Elements sect, it had surely survived on the edge of the Great Wilderness until now because it possessed methods to deal with bizarre demons. Let those of higher standing deal with such calamities, there's no need for low-level loose cultivators like me to worry, Jiren thought. Looking back, he could see the eerie mist still spreading towards the Great Wilderness Market, making him uneasy. The Great Wilderness Market immediately noticed the eerie mist and fully activated its protective Great Formation. A treasure mirror emitting a faint glow hung high, its light bursting forth, striking towards the surging eerie mist. A pitiful wail came from within the mist, a sound so piercing it made one want to claw at their eardrums. The surging eerie mist stopped its spread and quickly receded. The imposing mist had arrived quickly and retreated just as fast. Is the bizarre demon crisis resolved? Jiren wondered. Evil warding talisman. He glanced at his chest. The evil warding talisman had burned out, leaving only white ash, its miraculous power completely exhausted. What a great item! He thought. If I had a few more evil warding talismans, I could take advantage of the dispersing mist and go to the Lake of Smoky Waves to pick up the storage bags of the dead loose cultivators. The thought flashed through his mind, but he immediately extinguished the dangerous notion. While the spoils from dead loose cultivators are tempting, one needs to be alive to enjoy them. Thinking of confronting the bizarre mist maiden directly, no amount of spirit stones could entice me. The Lake of Smoky Waves is out of the question. It will surely become a forbidden ground in the future. Even if this incident settles down, the bait business can no longer continue. His source of income was completely gone. Earning spirit stones would be difficult. What to do? Ever since witnessing the terrifying methods of the bizarre demons, the importance of evil warding talismans has skyrocketed in my estimation. I have to purchase a few, no matter what, just to be prepared. An evil warding talisman costs 10 spirit stones, and I can only afford one at most. That's not secure enough. Chapter 20-20 Carrion Vulture. The bizarre mist maiden departed, leaving behind a field of desiccated corpses and their safely preserved storage bags. Inside the storage bags was their entire fortune, which made people's eyes burn with covetousness. The chilling presence of the bizarre demons couldn't suppress the greed in human hearts. The most audacious of the loose cultivators took the lead, rushing out from the guardian formation of the Great Wilderness Market and charging towards the desiccated corpses. The bold thrive, while the timid starve. For low-ranking loose cultivators, it was difficult to change their fate, and opportunities to strike it rich were scarce. Missing out was simply not an option. This is mine. Get lost. Dare to snatch my storage bag, and I'll kill you. More and more loose cultivators joined the fray, which eventually devolved into a chaotic scramble with 50 or 60 people fighting over the spoils. Many sought to take advantage of the chaos, targeting the storage bags of others. In the struggle for wealth, a large-scale brawl erupted among the loose cultivators. The weaker loose cultivators were the first to die. In battles between cultivators, only the strongest could last. Jiren didn't act like a carrion vulture, he stood at a distance, using the spirit high technique to observe. Large-scale battles among loose cultivators were uncommon. Observing fellow cultivators' combat methods could compensate for his lack of fighting experience. The path of cultivation was long, and one never knew when such observations might prove useful. Is there still evil energy? Jiren's gaze swept across the brawling loose cultivators, settling on those who had touched the corpses. The spirit high technique revealed that those who touched the corpses were tainted with a faint evil energy. Though not as strong as the bizarre Mist Maiden's aura, it's still an infection. Can evil energy be transmitted through contact? The bizarre Mist Maiden incident isn't over, and evil warding talismans are likely to rise in price. I must turn spirit stones quickly to buy evil warding talismans. An unprecedented sense of urgency rose within Jiren. I don't want to end up like those old cultivators I saw in the market, who, after being corrupted by evil energy, desperately pleaded for evil warding talismans to no avail, their hearts filled with resentment. It's better to rely on myself than to ask others for help. Purchasing evil warding talismans to prevent trouble before it starts is the best strategy. Time to earn some spirit stones. Jiren couldn't help but recall the pest infestation. Was it, as I conjectured, a man-made event? Almost 2 days have passed since then, there should be some news by now. Taoist Yang Bingzi, may I inquire about the outcome of the pest infestation? Jiren had exchanged sound transmission talismans with Yang Bingzi before and now used one to ask about the situation. Previously, he definitely wouldn't have wanted to get involved. But without his bait business, he could only rely on pest extermination to earn some spirit stones. On his way to the market, he bought an evil warding talisman for 10 spirit stones. Thankfully, the vendor hadn't heard any news, so the price of evil warding talismans hadn't increased yet. After spending 10 spirit stones, his savings plummeted to just 2 spirit stones and 7 fragmented spirit stones. Spirit stones are spent so quickly. I don't even have enough to buy that spirit beast bag I liked. Taoist Jia, let's meet and talk in detail. The two agreed to meet at the West District Market. It wasn't long before Jiren met Yang Bingzi. Compared to before, Yang Bingzi seemed elated and full of spirit. I haven't yet thanked you for your help, Taoist Jia. Let's head to the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. Yang Bingzi led Jiren into the gorgeously decorated Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. He found a private room and ordered a pot of spiritual tea and 2 plates of pastries. This alone cost 3 spirit stones, truly extravagant. Once the soundproof barrier was activated, Yang Bingzi, no longer needing to be discreet, recounted the events of the past 2 days in detail. Taoist Jia, your foresight is remarkable. There was a renegade among the spirit farmers. Last night, someone was caught red-handed sneaking in corner where Megs. The spirit rice fields and spirit vein of Grand Wilderness Mountain suffered serious damage. The 5 Elements sect was enraged and is determined to investigate this matter thoroughly. The entire pest removal team has been disgraced and summoned by the law enforcement office. The noose is being kept under tight wraps, very few people know. Taoist Jia, you've helped the spirit farmers immensely. Otherwise, we would have been completely swindled by those blood-sucking leeches. Thinking back on it, Yang Bingzi still seethed with hatred. If Jiren hadn't suggested the pest infestation might be man-made, Yang Bingzi certainly wouldn't have reported it to the 5 Elements sect. Furthermore, he wouldn't have discovered the disgusting practices of those blood-sucking leeches. The spirit farmers would not only have been charged exorbitant pest removal fees but also burdened with unpayable debts. It was truly like they were being bled dry, driving the spirit farmers to their doom. So my guess was correct? Jiren was overjoyed. With the hidden threat of the pest removal team gone, pest extermination was now a viable option. The 5 Elements sect is taking this matter very seriously. There are even rumors that the higher-ups intend to reward me. Taoist Jia, you played a significant role in this. I'll split the reward with you. A reward from the 5 Elements sect? I wonder what it will be? With the 5 Elements sect's resources, even the smallest bit leaking from their fingers would be a vast fortune for low-level loose cultivators like me. The disaster in the spirit fields had a significant impact. The spirit veins were also greatly affected, with losses far exceeding a mere 1,000 or 2 spirit stones. This is shaking the very foundation of the 5 Elements sect. No organization or power would tolerate such an incident, they would undoubtedly resolve it with thunderous might. The 5 Elements sect discovered this matter largely thanks to Yang Bingzi's report. The sect would surely reward him generously, using it as an incentive. In the future, if similar incidents occurred, cultivators would naturally compete to report them. Taoist Jia, thank you for your help with the corner worm disaster. You are truly my lucky star. A broad smile spread across Yang Bingzi's face, the corner worm disaster had been perfectly resolved. but the reward might not be so easy to obtain. Jiren cautioned. Although the five-element sect is strong, the hidden forces daring to cause trouble are not weak. It's not guaranteed they'll all be caught in one go. If even one slips through the net, it could mean disaster for both of us, one we cannot bear. It would be best to take the reward, change our appearances, and leave Grand Wilderness Mountain. Yang Bingzi, like Jiren, was a cultivator at the 4th layer of Qi refinement. A cultivator at the 4th layer of Qi refinement receiving a reward from the Five Elements sect would surely attract envious eyes. Whether it was retaliation for reporting the pest disaster or greed incited by the Five Elements sect's reward, it was possible someone might target them. Yang understands. After this matter is settled, I will leave Grand Wilderness Mountain. Yang Bingzi knew that heeding good advice was always wise. Now that the spirit farmer's pest disaster was resolved, he wasn't about to risk his life. I have a matter I'd like to ask for your help with, Taoist Yang. Jiren said. My bait business has run into problems, so I'll have to rely on pest extermination to make a living for a while. I hope you can help me with some introductions. If he were to offer pest extermination services unannounced, the spirit farmers definitely wouldn't trust him. However, it would be relatively easier and the barrier to entry lower if he had a familiar acquaintance to introduce him. My rate for pest extermination is 5 spirit stones per 10 acres. Spirit farmers didn't have many spirit stones. Jiren didn't intend to profit excessively from their misfortune. A normal rate for pest extermination would suffice. His efficiency was several times faster than typical pest exterminators, so his rate of earning spirit stones wouldn't be slow. Most importantly, it would increase his proficiency level. Taoist Jia, on behalf of the spirit farmers, I thank you. Yang Bingzi exclaimed. First, you discovered the pest disaster and helped solve the root of the problem. Now, you're not taking advantage of our plight and are offering pest extermination at the usual price. Taoist Jia, you truly have a noble character. I'm short on spirit stones lately. Jiren said. Let's go to Heavenly River Square and earn a good sum. Yang Bingzi was a trustworthy person, worthy of befriending. An ordinary cultivator would have definitely kept the entire reward from the Five Elements sect for themselves, not even mentioning splitting it with Jiren. Since Yang Bingzi treated others with sincerity, Jiren naturally believed in repaying kindness with kindness. Earn spirit stones at Heavenly River Square? Yang Bingzi asked, puzzled. Taoist Jia, you're not thinking of going to the Heavenly River Square casino, are you? Absolutely not. Taoist Jia, don't get involved with gambling. No matter how many spirit stones you have, it'll never be enough to fill that pit. Hearing Jiren mention earning spirit stones at Heavenly River Square, Yang Bingzi's first thought was of its infamous casino. What truly made Heavenly River Square famous wasn't its underground money-lending operations, but its casino. Everyone has a gambling streak, whether big or small. The Great Wilderness Market was fiercely competitive. Low-level loose cultivators who saw no future often placed their hopes on striking it rich overnight at the Heavenly River Square casino. Striking it rich rarely happened. Going bankrupt, however, was a common occurrence. Zhu Lezi was a prime example. Whenever he had a little money, he threw it all into Heavenly River Square. Now, effectively working as a lackey for Heavenly River Square, he was likely indebted and controlled by them. I'm not going to gamble. Jiren clarified. I intend to take out a loan from Heavenly River Square. Undoubtedly, Heavenly River Square must have been implicated in the corner worm incident and suffered for it. If I can borrow a sum of spirit stones before the Five Elements sect moves to dismantle Heavenly River Square, then once it's gone, the debt will become uncollectible. He explained his speculation to Yang Bingzi, whose expression grew excited as he listened. Invite a few more spirit farmers. Jiren added. If there are spirit stones to be made, let's all earn them together. Bringing in more people would allow them to act as carrion vultures towards Heavenly River Square. Unlike the life and death struggles outside the market, this plan involved much less risk. His intention in involving more spirit farmers was to spread the risk. Otherwise, Jiren fleecing the sheep alone would be too conspicuous and could easily attract unwanted attention and resentment. Chapter 21-21 Gathering Wool. Taoist Jia's talents are truly a role model for us all. Upon hearing Jiren's words, Yang Bingzi was astounded. He had never thought such a maneuver was possible. Heavenly River Square had long been a bloodsucker, devouring the wealth of countless loose cultivators. The malevolent forces, headed by Heavenly River Square, had brought about a pest disaster, causing significant losses to spirit farmers, who harbored deep hatred for them. They sought to administer justice on behalf of the heavens and to steal from the rich to remedy their own poverty. We must act quickly. If we're even a step late and the Five Elements sect makes a move, we won't have a chance. Jiren didn't want any unexpected incidents to derail the plan, so he issued a reminder. Intelligence was time-sensitive. If it was late, it would be useless. Don't worry. Yang Bingzi replied. I'll do my best to find people within an hour at most. He dared not delay and hurried towards the Grand Wilderness Mountain at top speed. Jia Ren was in no rush to leave the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, continuing to enjoy his spiritual tea and pastries while improving his proficiency level in his leisure time. Yang Bingzi's efficiency was far greater than Jia Ren had imagined. In half an hour, over 100 spirit farmers had gathered outside the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, their faces filled with unconcealable excitement. People naturally love a free ride, and few were exceptions. The malevolent forces headed by Heavenly River Square had caused the spirit farmers heavy losses, and they couldn't miss this rare opportunity to recoup them. One spirit farmer said, Taoist Jia, Bingzi mentioned you're skilled at pest removal, we'll have to rely heavily on you. Yang Bingzi had already advertised Jia Ren's services. Jia Ren didn't even need to show up in person, as many spirit farmers were already vying for his help with pest removal. The most important factor was his price, which seemed remarkably fair compared to the exorbitant rates of the unscrupulous pest removal teams. Let's set out quickly. Another urged. If we're late, there won't be any spirit stones to borrow. Everyone was there to earn spirit stones and didn't want to waste time, so they headed straight for Heavenly River Square immediately. Heavenly River Square conducted extensive business, with casinos in the inner city and in the outer city districts to the south, east, north, and west, occupying a vast area of land. In the market, where every inch of land was precious as gold, the annual rent for that land alone was no small sum. Sea Hour. Just as the Sea Hour struck, the West City District branch of Heavenly River Square had already gathered a considerable number of gamblers. Those who lost walked away dejected or headed to Heavenly River Square's underground moneylenders to borrow. Those who won found their good fortune was only temporary, as they soon lost it all again at Heavenly River Square's gambling tables. Winning was merely a process, losing was the inevitable result. Countless cultivators had gambled away their fortunes at Heavenly River Square. Even so, numerous gamblers, their eyes bloodshot from losses, still came daily, continuously pouring spirit stones into Heavenly River Square's coffers. All of you want to borrow spirit stones? The first to receive them was a clerk. She was completely flabbergasted to see more than 100 cultivators arriving together to borrow spirit stones. It was her first time witnessing such a sight. The steward, hearing the news, arrived with a beaming smile once he realized all the cultivators were spirit farmers. Heavenly River Square was well aware of the severe losses caused by the pest disaster. It was only a matter of time before the spirit farmers came to them for loans. Still, over 100 spirit farmers seeking loans at once was unexpected. How much can we borrow? Make it quick. One farmer urged. The fields are waiting for spirit stones for pest removal. Another added. The Five Elements sect could arrive at Heavenly River Square at any moment. Efficiency was paramount, being even a step too slow meant no spirit stones to borrow. The steward said reassuringly. Everyone, there's no need to rush. Heavenly River Square will offer different borrowing limits based on the strength of our fellow cultivators. The limit for the second level of chi refinement is 5 spirit stones. The limit for the third level of chi refinement is 10 spirit stones. The limit for the fourth level of chi refinement is 30 spirit stones. The limit for the fifth level of chi refinement is 50 spirit stones. Array masters, alchemists, artifact refiners, and talisman makers have higher limits. If you have valuable collateral, the limit will also be increased. The greater one's strength, the stronger their ability to earn spirit stones, and thus, the higher their borrowing limit. 30 spirit stones was the limit for the fourth level of chi refinement. Mastering one of the 4 arts of cultivation allowed for an even higher borrowing limit. Heavenly River Square wasn't a charity endlessly distributing wealth, they also had to consider one's ability to repay. Without the ability to repay, a loan could easily become bad debt. The spirit farmers had always stayed in the Grand Wilderness Mountain and had fixed spirit field rents, making them reliable debtors. This was also why Heavenly River Square wanted to develop its loan business with spirit farmers. All of you can borrow up to your maximum limits. The steward announced. All the spirit farmers could borrow up to their personal limits. The stronger they were, the more they could borrow. Jia Ren was the only exception. During the peak of the spirit fish business, it was estimated he could have been treated like an alchemist. But now, with a bizarre mist maiden appearing in the lake of smoky waves, the spirit fish business had completely dried up, and he was treated like any other loose cultivator. Without a unique skill, one's life was constantly at risk. He could only borrow up to 20 spirit stones, merely 2/3 of his theoretical limit. A bit of a pity. Jia Ren felt a slight twinge of regret. Still, fleecing even a little was better than nothing. After all, he had no intention of repaying those 20 spirit stones anyway. Each person left their spiritual power imprint on Heavenly River Square's tracing disc, making it convenient for Heavenly River Square to track them down for debt collection at any time. Otherwise, after borrowing spirit stones, one could simply hide away deep in the mountains and forests. Heavenly River Square didn't have 3 heads and 6 arms, it would be very difficult to find anyone who disappeared. This was also why they were more willing to lend to spirit farmers, as the saying goes, the monk can run away, but the temple can't. You must report to us before leaving Great Wilderness City, otherwise, Heavenly River Square will consider it an act of fleeing from debt. I hope you all will conduct yourselves accordingly. The steward warned. The loan process went smoothly. The spirit farmers left with their newly acquired spirit stones, beaming with joy. However, a small portion of them wore gloomy expressions. What if Heavenly River Square had strong backers and wasn't overthrown? What then? Just as this thought arose in their minds, the sky lit up with the glow of flying swords. A group of cultivators wearing the robes of the law enforcement office arrived, riding their swords. Sword kinesis flight was a hallmark of late-stage chi refining cultivators, indicating the newcomers were all elites. Apprehend everyone related to Heavenly River Square, commanded the leader of the newcomers. A formation array activated, sealing the area to prevent entry or exit and stopping Heavenly River Square's higher-ups from getting wind of the situation and escaping. The identity of every loose cultivator gathered there would be verified to ascertain if they were members of Heavenly River Square. Spirit farmers? The chief of the law enforcement office looked at the 100-odd spirit farmers with surprise and uncertainty. He had initially thought they were there to cause trouble, but upon learning they had just taken out substantial loans from Heavenly River Square, his expression turned peculiar. The chief mused internally, cause trouble? They would definitely be taken to the law enforcement office and gain nothing. But borrowing. Truly clever. Using Heavenly River Square's spirit stones to cover the losses from the spirit field pest disaster. With Heavenly River Square falling, no one would pursue these debts. Even if someone took over Heavenly River Square later, these would just be bad debts. Whose idea was this? His gaze fell on Yang Bingzi, filled with appreciation. First, he discovered the pest disaster and reported it to the Five Elements sect. Then, he managed to use the culprit's own spirit stones to compensate for the losses. Unparalleled wit. A true talent, worth cultivating. The spirit farmers passed through smoothly. Only Jiren was questioned in detail by the enforcement team and was only released after they confirmed there were no issues with him. Similar events unfolded in the inner city and the 4 outer city districts. All cultivators related to Heavenly River Square were taken away, with no exceptions. Everyone reached the consensus, Heavenly River Square was finished. Haha, we've all made a fortune. It's time to celebrate. I'm going to find some familiar female cultivators for a long, overnight talk. One farmer chortled. The female cultivators of Cloud Attire Pavilion are best known for their joyous skills. It's just that the spirit stones are a bit expensive, at least 3 per session, but today I'll indulge. Another chimed in. Taoist Jia, remember to come to my spirit field first to remove pests. Here's the deposit. A more practical farmer said. The older spirit farmers were relatively more rational and didn't immediately squander their spirit stones on pleasure. They flocked to Jiren, each paying half the agreed-upon spirit stones as a deposit. Jiren collected deposits from 4 families, each for 20 mu of land, totaling 20 spirit stones. The other spirit farmers were full of regret, cursing themselves for being a step too slow. One person's pest removal ability was limited. 80 mu of spirit fields would keep Jiren busy for a long time. By the time he could get to their fields, it would be too late. In a short time, Jiren had an additional 40 spirit stones in his possession, 20 from the loan and 20 from the deposits. He quickly hurried off to buy evil warding talismans. Chapter 22, Pest Control Business Number 22. After the loan business at Heavenly River Square ended, Jiren turned down Yang Bingzi's invitation and headed straight to the market. 13 spirit stones for 1 evil warding talisman? After asking around at various talisman stalls, he discovered that many of them had sold out of evil warding talismans. The few available had their prices increased, selling for as high as 20 spirit stones each. Even after searching the entire market, the cheapest he could find was 13 spirit stones. As news of the bizarre demons spread, many cultivators had been bewitched, leaving everyone on edge. The demand for evil warding talismans skyrocketed, driving up prices. Opportunistic merchants took advantage of this and bought up evil warding talismans in bulk, causing a shortage and unmet demand in the market. Some talisman sellers also saw an opportunity and hoarded their stock, waiting for the price of evil warding talismans to hit new highs. Jiren lamented. Initially, I could have bought 4 evil warding talismans, but now I can only afford 3. He knew the prices would only climb higher if he waited. Spirit stones are important, but one's life is even more so. He promptly paid 39 spirit stones and purchased 3 evil warding talismans. With the spirit stones received, it's time to get to work. With the bait business dead, running a stall would only result in losing the booth fee. It made more sense to help the spirit farmers with pest removal, earning as many spirit stones as possible before the insect disaster was resolved. There were more than 4 spirit farmers in need of pest removal. With sufficient efficiency, other spirit farmers could also become potential clients. He bought the metal finger technique for 1 spirit stone, gaining an additional pest removal skill. With the proficiency panel, his spell's proficiency level increased rather quickly. Jiren knew it wouldn't be long before he greatly surpassed the standard of a spirit farmer. Coupled with the insect control technique, his pest removal efficiency would be unparalleled. All prepared, Jiren set off for Great Wilderness Mountain at once. Entry to Great Wilderness Mountain was much stricter than before, with cultivators occasionally seen patrolling the skies on their swords. Jiren announced his identity as a pest remover but was immediately detained and taken to the law enforcement office. It wasn't until Yang Bingzi and other spirit farmers vouched for him that he was able to successfully ascend Great Wilderness Mountain. Great Wilderness Mountain has been uneasy lately. Taoist Jia, please be prepared for some inconveniences. One of them advised. With a pass token, there will be no need for questioning next time. The first spirit farmer Jiren visited was Old Man Wang, Yang Bingzi's neighbor, with whom he had a slight acquaintance. He had borrowed spirit rice and spiritual tea from Old Man Wang, thus having the best relationship with him. Taoist Jia is a trustworthy person. Please, make haste to the spirit field. Old Man Wang said, walking briskly. The 3 of them, with Old Man Wang leading, proceeded to the spirit field. Bingzi is here. And Taoist Jia has come too. The spirit farmers Jiren had recently encountered at Heavenly River Square greeted him warmly, their faces flushed with excitement. A few, however, wore expressions of envy and jealousy. Not every spirit farmer dared to borrow spirit stones from Heavenly River Square. If nothing happened there, wouldn't they end up with a huge debt? They had hoped to laugh at the spirit farmers who borrowed spirit stones, but now they themselves had become the laughingstock. Things had changed too quickly. Heavenly River Square was no more. The spirit farmers they knew had borrowed a large sum of spirit stones, which not only covered their losses from the insect disaster but also allowed them to make a handsome profit. Even if others wanted to follow suit, it was too late. With Heavenly River Square gone, the opportunity for wealth vanished, leaving them all with deep regrets. Leave the pest removal to me. Jiren strode into the spirit field, followed by numerous spirit farmers. They were willing to pay him a deposit not because they knew of his strong pest removal abilities, but because he was cheap. If Jiren proved proficient at pest removal, the other spirit farmers watching would also pay a deposit. Insect control technique. Since he had decided to earn spirit stones through pest removal, revealing the insect control technique was inevitable. In the spirit field, each spirit insect under his control turned into a capable subordinate, moving precisely as he directed, like an extension of his own arm. The number he could control quickly reached 50, a grand scale indeed. They launched relentless attacks on their own kind and other spirit insects, fighting to the death. Jiren wasn't idle, using the newly learned metal finger technique to pick off spirit insects. The metal finger technique wasn't considered a spell for cultivator battles. When starting out, it only had a range of 3 feet, and its power wasn't strong. Attacking adult corner worms, a single hit couldn't kill them. It could only be used to bully the weaker spirit insects. Its only advantage was its low consumption of spiritual power, only 1/5 of that of the wind control skill. It required no incantations or hand seals, a mere thought was enough to cast it. Once its proficiency level improves, the power of the metal finger technique should increase accordingly. The pest removal speed is so fast. Is this the insect taming technique? I wonder if Taoist Jia is willing to sell it? Seeing the power of the insect control technique, the spirit farmers began to have ideas. Compared to the ubiquitous metal finger technique, the efficiency of using an insect controlling technique for pest removal was far superior. Jiren shook his head in silence, not responding. Reaching my level of proficiency with the insect control technique is too difficult. Under normal circumstances, even a decade of study would typically only raise the insect control technique to the skilled level, allowing control over a dozen or so spirit insects at most. I, however, have reached the master level. I can control 50 spirit insects and multitask with ease, hence my high pest removal efficiency. One of the spirit farmers exclaimed. Taoist Jia's pest removal abilities are incredible. The pest removal team is no match for him at all. Another agreed. Yes, we can leave the pest removal to Taoist Jia with peace of mind. As Jiren moved deeper into the spirit field, the spirit farmers stopped watching and dispersed. Jiren only stopped when the sky turned dusky. All the spirit insects in the 20 mu of spirit fields were eliminated. The storage bag was so full of bug corpses that he even had to borrow an extra one from Old Man Wang to fit them all. I've made a breakthrough. The insect control techniques level had advanced rapidly, breaking through to the Grandmaster level in a short time. The limit on controlling spirit insects increased once again, from 50 to nearly 80. Many thanks to Taoist Jia. This is the remaining payment for the pest removal. Old Man Wang was grinning from ear to ear. In just over half a day, the pest removal for the 20 mu spirit field was completed. This level of efficiency was terrifying. A pest removal team would need at least 5 members to achieve the same progress in that time. The sooner the spirit insects were dealt with, the smaller the losses the spirit field suffered. Taoist Jia, you've been busy all day. Please have dinner before you leave. Old Man Wang said, deeply grateful, urging Jia Ren to stay. It's getting late. I should be heading back. The later I head back, the more likely I am to encounter trouble. The Great Wilderness Market at night was not particularly safe, and the areas outside it even less so. Jia Ren wasn't willing to take the risk. Using the wind control skill, he sprinted all the way and rushed back to the Great Wilderness Market safely. Compared to making and selling bait, pest removal is hard work. Despite a whole day's effort, the earnings were less than what I made from bait. Even with the insect control technique, where he mostly relied on insects to fight other insects and only occasionally used the metal finger technique to kill larvae, clearing 20 mu of spirit field was still quite exhausting. If I were less scrupulous, I could charge an exorbitant price for pest removal and earn far more spirit stones. But Jia Ren had a moral baseline. He wouldn't exploit others in their time of need, especially spirit farmers who had suffered losses through no fault of their own. A normal price for pest removal was sufficient. A hard day's work, 1 chi recovery pill, and I earned a total of 9 spirit stones and 1 fragmented spirit stone. I've accumulated a fair amount of bug corpses, which should sell for some fragmented spirit stones, though the price is hard to estimate. Yang Bingzi had told him where to sell the bug corpses. Although the price would be low, it was the fastest way to offload them. I need to buy a storage bag and a spirit beast bag. That's another significant expense. I can't keep using this borrowed storage bag indefinitely. Most of the eggs soaking in the spiritual liquid had already hatched into larvae, so the need for a spirit beast bag was becoming urgent. These are all poisonous spine insects. They're not very useful for pest removal. I'll keep them for now and wait until it's time to pluck their poisonous spines. Chapter 23-23 Earning a bucket of gold every day. On the eastern side of Grand Wilderness Mountain, there was a hill and a small lake where thousands of low-level magical beasts were bred for consumption. The small lake was used for farming spirit fish, and one could often see the figures of cultivators and mortals bustling about. This was the Ming family's residence, located outside the Great Wilderness Market. They were a relatively small family who had migrated to the Great Wilderness less than 10 years ago. Their main livelihood came from breeding and selling edible spirit eggs and low-level monster beast meat. The Ming family had once produced a foundation establishment cultivator. Although they had since declined, they still had several late-stage chi refining cultivators, far surpassing what any loose cultivator could match. Even in the Great Wilderness Market, they were a major power that few loose cultivators dared to provoke. 1 fragmented spirit stone for 10 pounds? The price is too low. Even though Jia Ren already knew that spirit insect corpses were cheap, he was still shocked. It's just feed for spirit beasts. You want to sell it like it's monster beast meat? Are you selling or not? The Ming family often collaborated with spirit farmers, who would usually sell the spirit insects they killed to the Ming family, earning a few fragmented spirit stones in the process. Yang Bingzi had informed him about the price of bug corpses, 1 fragmented spirit stone for 8 pounds. Could it be that because I'm a new face, they're deliberately pushing the price down? Jia Ren was tempted to leave. However, apart from the Ming family, there was truly no other place that could take all the bug corpses at once. 1 fragmented spirit stone for 8 pounds is the normal price. This is too cheap. Jia Ren said, trying to negotiate. Ming Wu, an impatient look on his face, said coldly. It's 1 fragmented spirit stone for 10 pounds. Take it or get lost. Cultivators from families naturally look down on low-level loose cultivators, though deliberately targeting them was relatively rare. Sell. He couldn't just throw away the bug corpses. Selling them would at least get him some spirit stones. Taking a large quantity of bug corpses to the market to sell would be a waste of time, not to mention he wouldn't get a high price for them. The bug corpses from the 2 storage bags were poured out, piling into a mound half a person's height. The insects were small and lightweight, which indicated just how many spirit insects Jia Ren had killed. 135 pounds. That's a total of 1 spirit stone and 3 fragmented spirit stones. Jia Ren didn't bother arguing about the rounded down amount, took the 1 spirit stone and 3 fragmented spirit stones, and left. Jiren bought a new storage bag and a spirit beast bag in the market. Both were 3 cubic meters in capacity. The storage bag cost 3 spirit stones, and the spirit beast bag was pricier at 5 spirit stones. With the spirit beast bag in hand, the spirit insects finally had a home, and he could now carry the poisonous spine insect with him. Summoning spirit insects to assist in battle greatly increased his sense of security. Continue with pest removal. Jiren found the second spirit farmer and began exterminating pests. Metal finger technique proficiency level +1. As Jiren used the metal finger technique more frequently, his proficiency level in it rose swiftly. Although it didn't increase as quickly as his insect taming technique, its rate of improvement was far more efficient than that of the wind control skill. Die. A swift golden light flashed, a precise kill, without harming a single grain of spirit rice. His control had reached a peak of finesse. Grandmaster level metal finger technique. The metal finger technique wasn't a spell designed for combat but was specifically created for pest control. Its lethality wasn't high, it could only be used to bully insects. After reaching Grandmaster level, its power underwent a qualitative change. Its penetrative power surpassed even the fireball technique. Even if faced with a foot-thick steel plate, it could pierce through with a single finger. The key was that the metal finger technique could be cast more quickly and consume less spiritual power, making it difficult to guard against. It's an absolute tool for ambushes. I owe it to the proficiency panel, otherwise, I might not have reached Grandmaster level even after decades of practice. Insect taming technique is improving the fastest, almost reaching the Grandmaster limit. I'll need breakthrough points again soon. Take it slow, there's no rush for now. After the spirit farmer inspected the pest removal work, Jiren received the final payment of 5 spirit stones. It's just past noon, fellow Taoist. You've already cleared 20 mu of spirit fields. That's truly astonishing. Earning 10 spirit stones in half a day, wouldn't that mean earning 20 spirit stones in a single day? A spirit farmer toiled over 20 mu of spirit fields, and even in a bumper harvest year, might not earn as much as Jiren did in one day. Jiren smiled in response and quickly headed to the next client. As usual, he worked until dusk, exterminating pests across a total of 40 mu, doubling his efficiency compared to the previous day. With the Grandmaster level insect control technique and Grandmaster level metal finger technique working in tandem, no one could match his pest extermination efficiency. The speed of extermination has reached its limit. Unless I use chi recovery pills extensively, it's impossible to surpass 40 mu. Chi recovery pills weren't cheap. Using them in large quantities would diminish his profits, making it completely unnecessary. 372 pounds. Mingwu was stunned as he watched Jiren empty a massive quantity of spirit insect corpses from 2 bulging storage bags. I never expected you to be a master exterminator as well. 3 spirit stones and 7 fragmented spirit stones. Mingwu's words were polite, but he had no intention of raising the price. As a buyer, he hoped to earn extra income by pressing the price down. He would never complain about having too many spirit stones. Jiren couldn't be bothered to deal with him. After confirming the weight was correct, he took the spirit stones and left. You, go to Grand Wilderness Mountain and find out this youngster's identity. Mingwu found a relatively sharp-witted young man in his clan and dispatched him to Grand Wilderness Mountain. The fact that the quantity of bug corpses had doubled was noteworthy. If he were just a low-level loose cultivator, bullying him would be one thing, as no one would stand up for him. However, if he had a large pest removal team backing him, they would have to consider making some concessions to avoid offending many loose cultivators. Master Jia has arrived. Let's check fellow Taoist Tong's spirit fields first. For 2 consecutive days, Jiren's pest extermination efficiency grew ever higher. The spirit fields were left spotlessly clean, without a single insect remaining. With his fast speed and high-quality work, the reputation of the master exterminator spread rapidly. More and more spirit farmers sought him out, and a few were even willing to pay an extra spirit stone for priority service, as an earlier resolution to the pest problem meant 1 less day of losses. Having recently earned a substantial amount from Heavenly River Square, the spirit farmers were now spending more generously. Faced with this, Jiren naturally gave priority to the major clients who offered extra spirit stones. Exterminating pests across the usual 40 mu, Jiren finished work early, just as hour 5:07 p.m. arrived, and departed. Being able to earn 20 spirit stones a day is great. I hope I can keep this up for a few more days. With spirit stones in hand, his life improved. Spirit rice and spiritual beast meat could now be part of his daily diet, aiding his cultivation. As was his routine, he went to the Northern District Market early in the morning, looking for turtle demon beasts. He hoped to make turtle spirit ointment to accelerate his cultivation speed and compensate for his lost lifespan. Turtle demon beasts are hard to find. If fellow Taoist is willing to add more spirit stones, this Yang will pay special attention. Most turtle demon beasts lived in lake regions, terrestrial turtles were rare. The closest lake to the Great Wilderness Market was the Lake of Smoky Waves, but it had now become a forbidden zone where no one dared to venture. To find turtle demon beasts without going through the Lake of Smoky Waves, one would have to venture deep into the Great Wilderness, which greatly increased the danger. Jia Ren had spent several days wandering the northern district market, inquiring with the butchers. Through repeated interactions, he had become a familiar face. Hearing he was willing to pay extra, the butchers would inform their affiliated monster hunting teams. The rest is up to luck. As Jia Ren walked through the market, he clearly felt it had become much quieter. As usual, he inquired about evil warding talismans. They were scarce, and most were now priced at 20 spirit stones each. Luckily, he stumbled upon a bargain, acquiring one for 15 spirit stones. The effects of the mysterious mist incident are far-reaching. I hope it doesn't impact my life too much. Jia Ren was just preparing to head to Grand Wilderness Mountain to continue exterminating pests and earning spirit stones. Just then, a golden light flared in the sky, transforming into a massive, golden light curtain that reflected countless stern faces. Over 100 loose cultivators, disheveled and with ashen faces, knelt on the ground. Jia Ren scanned the kneeling faces and recognized a familiar one, Zhu Lezi. Those who bring chaos to Grand Wilderness Mountain shall be executed. Chapter 24-24 Scheming and plotting. This was a clear display of striking the mountain to awe the tiger. In front of all the loose cultivators at the Great Wilderness Market, it demonstrated the Five Elements Sect's stance. Anyone causing trouble on the Five Elements Sect's territory would be executed. Five Elements Sword, slash. The law enforcement elder of the Five Elements Sect raised the ancient bronze sword high, and a five-colored sword light soared into the sky. The sword light multiplied, its numbers increasing. In the blink of an eye, the light screen was filled with five-colored sword light. Hundreds of these lights, without lingering, fell like raindrops upon the kneeling cultivators. After the sword light passed, blood flowed like rivers, and the ground was covered with minced flesh. The people from Heavenly River Square, the pest removal team, and all other implicated individuals were exterminated by the sword light. The golden light screen faded, and a dead silence fell over the city. Cultivators were truly cruel to one another. Human life was as insignificant as grass. Jia Ren stared at where the light screen had been, his emotions in turmoil for a long time. When he thought about it, they had ultimately died because of him. If he hadn't alerted Yang Bingzi wouldn't have reported it to the Five Elements Sect. The sect might not have paid attention to such a trivial matter happening right under their noses. Who knew when they would have discovered the insect calamity then? They brought this upon themselves. What does it have to do with me? Jia Ren shook his head to cast aside the thought. He was just a low-level loose cultivator, still struggling for a living with a mere few measures of spirit rice. Master Jia, 358 caddies of bug corpses. Today we'll use the normal price, 1 fragmented spirit stone for every 8 caddies of corpses. That's a total of 4 spirit stones and 5 fragmented spirit stones. Ming Wu's attitude had changed, he was all smiles and warmth. He had learned about Jia Ren through his clan members the previous day, a master exterminator who cleared pests from 40 acres daily, earning 20 spirit stones a day. Earning 20 spirit stones all by himself? Ming Wu couldn't suppress the stirring in his heart. He wanted to make a move on Jia Ren. However, his reason still held. The pest extermination business wasn't over. Killing Jia Ren now would mean losing out on a lot of spirit stones. Fatten the pig before the slaughter. That's the only way to maximize profits. To prevent too harsh a price pressure and to maintain Jia Ren's willingness to sell bug corpses, Ming Wu purchased them at the old prices to foster a good relationship. The most difficult to guard against are not villains who openly display their enmity. It's the friends who one moment share drinks and laughter with you, and the next, plunge a clean knife in and pull out a bloodied one. Taoist Jia, you helped the spirit farmer brothers get rid of their best problem. I haven't properly thanked you for that yet. Ming Wu said, looking ashamed, his apology appearing sincere. I apologize for my past actions. I'll also compensate you for the price difference. You previously sold 507 caddies of bug corpses for a total of 4 spirit stones and 9 fragmented spirit stones. I'll compensate you an additional 1 spirit stone and 4 fragmented spirit stones. That's 5 spirit stones and 9 fragmented spirit stones in total. Please take them, Master Jia. Purchasing at the normal price? Making up for the previous price difference? There's no unmotivated kindness in this world. Why is he being so amicable? Are the spirit farmers really on such good terms with the Ming family? Based on his understanding of cultivator families, their members always held themselves in high regard and looked down on low-level loose cultivators. They rarely deigned to associate with them. Jia Ren's impression of Ming Wu was already colored by prejudice. He didn't believe such a mercenary fellow would willingly spit out the fat that had already reached his mouth. Either someone warned him, or he's plotting something even bigger. Jia Ren didn't have many friends, and those he had were all low-level loose cultivators, hardly influential enough to be mentioned. In that case, the answer was obvious. Thank you, Brother Ming. I'll continue to sell bug corpses to the Ming family. Jia Ren said, his face wreathed in a warm, sincere smile, but in his heart, he had already consigned the Ming family to the cold palace. Ming Wu had no idea he had overdone it to such an extent that Jia Ren had seen through his act, extinguishing any thought of returning. If he knew this, he would probably be angry enough to spit blood. He had paid extra spirit stones, only to achieve the opposite result. After exchanging a few more superficial pleasantries with Ming Wu, Jia Ren finally bid farewell and left. He dropped his fake smile and decisively employed the wind control skill, continuing his journey toward Grand Wilderness Mountain. He firmly decided never to set foot within the Ming family's territory again. Earning so many spirit stones from pest extermination must have attracted the attention of other loose cultivators. Perhaps even some of the spirit farmers harbor ill intentions. Just because I'm safe for now doesn't mean I'll always be safe. They haven't made a move because I can still be used to earn spirit stones through pest extermination. The day the insect calamity ends will be the most dangerous time for me. After Ming Wu's reminder, the fog in Jia Ren's mind dispersed, and clarity dawned. One easily misses the bigger picture when directly involved. Earning a large amount of spirit stones daily, I overlooked the potential risks. This was different from collaborating with middlemen in private transactions, where few would know the exact number of spirit stones he made. It was also unlike setting up a stall, where the location changed daily. Unless someone watched him at all times, no one would know how many spirit stones he earned. Pest extermination was different. Every spirit stone earned was visible, making it easy for spirit farmers and other scheming cultivators to know exactly how much he made. Sigh, life as a low-level cultivator is too difficult. Never mind the constant scheming and infighting, just earning spirit stones requires constant vigilance. A moment's carelessness could mean death. This damn world. Jia Ren couldn't help but curse vehemently. After venting his frustrations, he regained his composure. No matter what, life had to go on. To change things at the root, strength was essential. If I had the strength of the Chi Refinement 7th level, how many cultivators would dare to target a late-stage Chi Refining cultivator for mere pest extermination fees? It's time to increase my strength. I'll earn one more sum of spirit stones, then leave early before the insect calamity ends. Once I've earned enough cultivation resources, I'll spend the next period cultivating in peace. Jia Ren finalized his future plans and returned to his dwelling in the northern city area of the Great Wilderness Market. After another busy day of pest extermination, Jia Ren sold all the bug corpses in the market at a price of 1 fragmented spirit stone for 12 caddies. Although the price was low, it bought him peace of mind. It's becoming more and more unsafe lately. Compared to the stability of Grand Wilderness Mountain, the Great Wilderness Market was not very peaceful. The strange fog incident hadn't subsided. More and more cultivators were falling victim to it, and the number of infected was growing. In recent days, the number of loose cultivators had noticeably decreased, with most choosing to remain in seclusion. The price of evil warding talismans had soared. As the strange fog incident continued to develop, prices kept rising. Now, a single talisman cost 40 spirit stones, an amount unattainable for low-level loose cultivators. Jia Ren had already used the spirit stones he earned to buy 2 evil warding talismans, one for 15 and another for 20 spirit stones, thus avoiding the current inflated prices. Buying an evil warding talisman for 40 spirit stones, unless it's an absolute necessity, is simply being a sucker. With 6 evil warding talismans on hand, he could sell them at the current high price and get 240 spirit stones. He wouldn't sell. Spirit stones are important, but safety is paramount. Jia Ren had no intention of selling even a single evil warding talisman. Back in his stone house, Jia Ren cooked a pot of spirit rice as usual and ate it with some monster beast meat. These are troubling times. I originally planned to go into seclusion for cultivation after the pest extermination ends. I should buy more spirit rice as reserves. The best place to buy spirit rice was Grand Wilderness Mountain. The quality there was good, and as a master exterminator, he even received a discount. As Jia Ren ate the soft, sticky, and sweet spirit rice, his mood improved considerably. Before he could finish his meal, a knock came from the door of his stone house. Who could it be? It couldn't be someone looking for a free meal. Zhu Lezi was long dead. Jia Ren didn't hurry to open the door. Instead, he summoned the corner worm from his spirit beast bag to guard him. He then peered outside by looking at the reflection in a small mirror he had placed near the window. Standing outside was a familiar woman, the female cultivator who ran the seafood business in the back rooms. Has this line of work become so competitive already? She's even making house calls now? Chapter 25-25 Perilous World. Do you need something, fellow Taoist? The female cultivator was likely trying to flaunt her charms again. While pleasing to the eye, it posed a significant test to one's resolve. Jia Ren had bought quite a few evil warding talismans. With the leftover spirit stones, he still needed to purchase cultivation resources and had no intention of squandering them. The night is deep. It's inconvenient to entertain guests. Taoist Jia, it's really urgent. Our area is not safe. Not safe? Could it be true? Don't scare me. Has something big happened recently? Jia Ren, busy with his work in the Grand Wilderness Mountain and the Great Wilderness Market, was always somewhat out of touch with the latest news. Since it concerned his safety, he had to pay attention. Fellow Taoist, please continue speaking from outside the door. The risk from the woman at the third level of chi refinement was not significant. Being involved in making money from her bed, she likely wouldn't engage in dangerous schemes of robbing or harming. Even so, Jia Ren had no intention of opening the door. He asked for information through the stone door. A disaster has occurred. I beg you, you must help me. Her words were incoherent, and her beautiful face was stained with tears. It seemed as if she had just encountered something terrible, invoking pity. Please, let me stay here, protect me for a few days. I'm willing to do anything. The stone door showed no sign of opening. Jia Ren's heart was as cold as iron, causing the female cultivator's own heart to sink to the depths. If you protect me for a few days, I can give you an evil warding talisman. An evil warding talisman? If it had been 2 days ago, he would undoubtedly have been tempted. But now, Jia Ren held 6 evil warding talismans. As long as he didn't court death, they were enough to ensure his safety. There was no need to take unnecessary risks for one talisman. The fact that the female cultivator was willing to use an evil warding talisman, worth 40 spirit stones, to exchange for safety proved there was real danger. First, make clear what happened. Jia Ren was mainly concerned about the safety of this area. If it was all alarmist talk, he would simply send her away. Someone put a severed hand in my house. A severed hand? Jia Ren couldn't help but feel somewhat speechless. Scared by a severed hand like this? Has she never seen a corpse? Is it a case of vicious competition among peers? Or dissatisfaction from a client, leading to a severed hand as a bad review? There's bizarre evil chi on the hand. I don't know who threw it over, trying to infect me. More and more loose cultivators are maliciously spreading bizarre evil chi, and many people have been affected. Bizarre evil chi being maliciously spread to loose cultivators? Jia Ren was shocked, his mood unsettled for a long time. Although the atmosphere of the Great Wilderness Market was poor, it could at least guarantee a certain degree of safety. With the 5 Elements sect law enforcement team's deterrence, bizarre cultivators were restrained and dared not act recklessly. Otherwise, why would loose cultivators spend a spirit stone to rent a room in the outer city district? Safety is very important. And now, the sense of security that had been established for so long was gradually crumbling. Take me to see. Jia Ren didn't just take the female cultivator's word for it. He had her lead the way while he controlled the mosquito to follow. A moment later, he finally pushed the stone door open and followed behind. Using the mosquito to confirm there wasn't a honey trap ambush waiting, he then stepped into the female cultivator's residence. The stone house was far more delicate than those of male cultivators, the air fragrant with the scents of rouge and flowers. Following the aroma, one could see colorful and beautiful unidentified flowers displayed by the windows. Glancing past the unnecessary details, by the flickering dim candlelight, he saw a withered severed hand on the stone table. Spirit eye technique. Jia Ren's eyes glowed with white light, revealing every minute detail of his surroundings, and he could see things normally invisible. On the severed hand, just as the woman had said, was a bizarre evil chi. Could it be you've provoked some enemy? The female cultivator quickly shook her head, her voice tinged with barely concealed fear. Many loose cultivators have gone mad. The price of evil warding talismans is getting more expensive, and loose cultivators can't afford them. After being infected with bizarre evil chi and losing hope for survival, they become almost frantic. Many loose cultivators infected with the bizarre evil chi are taking revenge on their enemies, and some are maliciously spreading it to the market, resulting in an increasing number of innocent victims. The situation is getting worse and worse. Many are driven mad with rage, seizing the opportunity for revenge, wanting to infect more people. She recounted what she had seen and heard in detail. Jia Ren's face turned ugly. When he went to the market before the hour of Mao, only the number of loose cultivators had reduced. The problem had seemed minor. In just one day, the situation had deteriorated to this extent. This is no simple matter. The Five Elements sect had just executed 100 enemy cultivators from Grand Wilderness Mountain and destroyed Heavenly River Square to make an example of them. And now there's a large-scale spread of bizarre evil chi in the Great Wilderness Market? It's too much of a coincidence, isn't it? It looks like deliberate retaliation, aimed to disgust the Five Elements sect. The lowest-level loose cultivators are the worst off. At the slightest disturbance, they are the first to suffer. An evil warding talisman has skyrocketed to 40 spirit stones. How can loose cultivators possibly afford that? Especially those maliciously infected loose cultivators, they must be on the verge of madness, with few able to maintain their rationality. They don't wish to see other cultivators unharmed. Since they're infected with bizarre evil chi, they might as well drag everyone down with them. More and more cultivators will become sources of contamination, maliciously spreading the bizarre evil chi. The more these bizarre evil chi incidents intensify, the more chaotic it will become. What about the inner city? How will the Five Elements sect deal with it? With this bizarre evil chi affliction being such a serious issue, how will the Five Elements sect handle it? The inner city is now sealed, strictly prohibiting entry and exit. The inner city is the core of the Great Wilderness Market, which the Five Elements sect is determined to protect. As for the outer city, I fear they won't care about our lives at all. The female cultivator had thought of going to the inner city, but unfortunately, there was no chance now. The protective formation has been activated, leaving no way in. They're abandoning the lowest-level loose cultivators? Jia Ren already had the answer in his heart. The lowest-level loose cultivators are like leaks, cut down batch after batch. There will always be more loose cultivators coming to Great Wilderness City. The old are gone, and new ones will come. If they can keep the inner city of the Great Wilderness Market stable, the chaos in the outer city won't shake their foundation. Thank you for the information. Jia Ren secretly felt fortunate that he knew the ins and outs of the situation. Otherwise, even with 6 evil warding talismans, he wouldn't be able to withstand the constant depletion. The inner city. It's a pity he didn't go to the inner city with Yang Shengwu. As long as you, fellow Taoist, protect me through this crisis, I am willing to offer up an evil warding talisman. An evil warding talisman costs 40 spirit stones. Jia Ren glanced at the female cultivator and shook his head. I don't lack evil warding talismans for now. You should find someone else. He appreciated the information provided by the female cultivator but was unwilling to take on a burden. One more person, one more problem. You. The female cultivator glared at Jia Ren, both angry and annoyed. Trying to raise the price, is he? Her daily expenses weren't small, business was unstable, and with only her limited savings, she had purchased 2 evil warding talismans and found it difficult to offer a higher price. Jia Ren didn't negotiate with her. He decisively returned home and firmly closed the stone door. I must prepare more. The underground chamber must be completed more quickly. Jia Ren looked down at the stone bed, where dozens of corner worms were busily drilling into the narrow tunnels, occasionally bringing up soil from below. He used a storage bag to scatter the soil in inconspicuous places. With 1 or 2 more days of diligent work, the underground chamber should be finished. I hope nothing goes wrong. A slight premonition stirred him. Jia Ren, looking through the window, saw the female cultivators seeking help from other stone houses. Not all cultivators were as insensitive as Jia Ren, not to mention the lure of an evil warding talisman. That Jia is such a coward. You, fellow Taoist, are truly noble and principled. The voice gradually faded, barely audible. Jia Ren paid it no mind and didn't continue to grind for a higher proficiency level that night. Unable to ensure there would be no danger tonight, it was best to keep his spiritual power at its peak. In case of trouble, he would have the power to protect himself. As night deepened, Jia Ren ultimately couldn't avoid what was coming. The stone door was violently kicked open, triggering an explosive trap and igniting a burst of flames. Chapter 26-26 Nighttime dual trouble has come knocking at my door. A moment before the enemy arrived, Jia Ren sensed them first through the mosquitoes he had stationed outside. He had hoped the other party was just passing by, but he couldn't avoid the encounter. Tonight would be his first battle with a cultivator. Jia Ren didn't look at the stone door but quickly moved away from the window. The enemy is breaking the door to draw attention to the main entrance, intending to follow with a surprise attack through the window. It's a game of information asymmetry. A regular person's focus would be on the doorway upon its breach, subconsciously neglecting danger coming from other directions. Unfortunately, this trick is useless against me. I've already seen through it with the help of the mosquitoes I set up. Boom. The window shattered, and a flying dagger shot through the opening, carrying an explosive talisman that was in the process of activation. Boom. The ordinary flying dagger exploded into fragments, sending shards scattering in all directions. Jia Ren had already raised his defenses. A yellow-green spirit shield enveloped his entire body, leaving no blind spots. A yellow-green, turtle shell-like spiritual armor manifested over him, protecting his vital areas while leaving his limbs and head exposed. In a short amount of time, 2 defensive spells were active. With a turtle prime spirit armor, breeze robe, and spirit shield providing 3 layers of defense, and the green spirit shield a middle-grade defense magical implement ready to be activated at any moment, his sense of security greatly increased. The iron fragments and shockwaves from the explosion slammed into the turtle prime spirit armor and spirit shield, causing faint ripples but failing to penetrate. Explosive talismans are low-level talismans with mediocre lethality. Their shockwaves are merely very weak. The invader didn't intend to inflict damage with the explosive talisman but instead sought to create chaos. The target lacks extensive combat experience. Sudden changes will surely throw him into disarray. Cloaked in nightcloth, the bizarre cultivator took advantage of the explosion's cover to burst through the window into the stone house. The newcomer's face was obscured, but he immediately targeted Jiren. His body flashed with spiritual light, ready to attack. Boom! An explosive trap set at the window detonated, unleashing a scorching wave of fire. Unable to cast a defensive spell in time, the bizarre cultivator resorted to a defense talisman, conjuring an aura shield. The explosive trap's power was limited. Against someone already using protective spells, it posed no real threat. A beam of golden light shot out from Jiren's fingertips. Seizing the moment during the explosion, he unleashed the metal finger technique. The aura shield crumbled like paper under the metal finger technique, pierced with a single touch. It was unable to withstand a blow from the Grandmaster level metal finger technique. Following the metal finger technique, Jiren's second attack was not another metal finger technique but a lime bag. Countless particles burst forth, coating the bizarre cultivator's skin. In an instant, his face, back, and all exposed skin began to itch unbearably. The defensive spells he had been casting abruptly ceased. This is bad. I've come across a ruthless one, using poison right off the bat. Most critically, this intolerable itching makes it hard to focus, rendering the use of spells exceedingly difficult. Jiren didn't give his opponent a chance. For someone daring to come after his life, sending the intruder to his death was the best response. Another beam of golden light surged forth from his fingertips. This was the advantage of the metal finger technique, low consumption and high speed. After reaching Grandmaster proficiency level, it compensated for any lack of lethality, overpowering common cultivator's spells in every aspect. Metal finger technique? How is that possible? The metal finger technique was widely known, and most spirit farmers possessed some knowledge of it, so recognition was not difficult. It had always been mocked as a mere parlor trick, virtually useless against cultivators in terms of killing power. The bizarre cultivator had never imagined he would one day be wounded by the metal finger technique. There's something wrong with this metal finger technique, it can actually break through a spirit shield. This is big trouble. If I can't defeat him quickly, I'm at risk of dying under this metal finger technique at any moment. I refuse to believe your pathetic spells can hurt me. Enduring the intense itch, the bizarre cultivator crushed a life-saving talisman. A golden light barrier enveloped his body like a golden bell, leaving no angle uncovered. Jiren's metal finger technique, which had been unstoppable until now, struck the golden bell shield. It emitted a metallic clash but failed to penetrate with a single strike. A first-order superior-grade defensive talisman, the golden bell shield talisman. He took out a renowned golden elemental defensive talisman. Its defensive power even surpasses that of a middle-grade defense magical implement. This talisman isn't cheap, it must be worth at least 30 spirit stones. You're as good as dead. His common spirit shield couldn't withstand Jiren's treacherous metal finger technique. Out of desperation, he had used his most treasured defensive measure. I can only recoup my losses from Jiren. Die. The spiritual power fluctuation of a fifth-layer chi refinement cultivator burst forth. He unleashed 3 verdant flying daggers in a triangular formation, aiming for Jiren's head, chest, and groin. However, his intent and execution were entirely misaligned. Unable to concentrate, his verdant flying daggers' magic artifacts fluttered about erratically, like drunken birds, failing to inflict effective damage. This is infuriating. Damn poison. With my strength, 3 medium-grade magic tools, and a first-order superior-grade defense talisman, this should have been an easy win. Yet everything was ruined by a damned lime bag. Rage boiled in his heart. He was eager to kill Jiren but powerless to do so. In this condition, it's difficult to fight. If I don't leave now, the trouble will only get worse. I've noted this grudge, I'll take my revenge another day. Bizarre cultivators who had survived this long were no fools. Seeing the disadvantageous situation, a sense of fear emerged in his heart. He tried to use the wind control skill to escape but failed to activate it. It vexed him to the point of nearly coughing up blood. His featherweight talisman had long been consumed, leaving no quick way to escape. Let's talk this out peacefully. I too am afflicted by some evil spirits. I'll leave right now, and you can pretend nothing ever happened. You come when you wish and think you can leave as you please? Do you think this is your home? What would have been the outcome if I lacked strength? I would be a corpse lying at home, all my possessions taken. Then, to whom would I address my grievances and hatred? Die. Jiren's actions proved his resolve. The metal finger technique shot out wildly, bombarding the golden bell shield. If power alone isn't enough, I'll make up for it with quantity. I refuse to believe I can't break through your turtle shell. In Jiren's eyes, the bizarre cultivator had become like a giant spirit insect that he absolutely had to kill. The light of the golden bell shield dimmed at an alarming rate. It was unlikely to hold for much longer. You're forcing my hand. Although his spells were unusable, he still had numerous talismans on him that weren't difficult to activate. Talisman after talisman was activated, fire bullet talismans, ice cone talismans, and golden blade talismans swiftly rained down upon Jiren. Jiren dared not be careless. Allowing his opponent to turn the tables would be too frustrating. The green spirit shield materialized in front of him. Its green aura condensed into a basin-sized shield, whirling around him as if it possessed spiritual nature. The torrent of spells crashed upon the green spirit shield, all of them blocked, unable to break through the green shield. How could you have a middle-grade defense magical implement? With his talismans used up, the bizarre cultivator's last shred of hope vanished, leaving only despair. I thought I could easily slay this fat sheep, only to capsize in the gutter myself. Die. Jiren, protected by the green spirit shield and with no worries for his own safety, unleashed the metal finger technique in a wild barrage. The golden bell shield talisman's defense, no matter how strong, couldn't withstand such a relentless onslaught. Before long, the golden bell shield shattered. I cannot accept this. Filled with a torrent of resentment, the bizarre cultivator's body was riddled like a sieve by the metal finger technique. Chapter 27-27 Safe Retreat Dead. Jiren collapsed on the ground, with hardly any spiritual power left inside him. If the battle had continued much longer, he would have definitely run out of spiritual power. Moreover, if the bizarre cultivator had escaped, the trouble would have been enormous. First, restore spiritual power. Jiren hurriedly took out a chi recovery pill from his storage bag and swallowed it. Holding a spirit stone in his hand, he quickly began to restore his spiritual power. It was uncertain whether the battle would attract other bizarre cultivators. Only a full reserve of spiritual power could ensure his safety. Luckily, troubles did not come one after another. All the households kept their doors tightly shut, and no one came to see what had happened. Half an hour later, Jiren's internal spiritual power had recovered to 70%, and only then did he stop meditating. Throughout the process, the spirit shield was never removed. Although the speed of restoring spiritual power slowed, safety was prioritized. Meditation could neglect the perception of danger, making it easy to fall prey to assassination. Beyond that, there was another important point. Uncertain if there were any poisonous quills nearby, he did not want to test them on himself. The poison of the quills was overbearing. It caused unbearable pain and itching, made the afflicted swell throughout their body, and even had the bizarre effect of interrupting spellcasting. If it were not for them, this battle would not have gone so smoothly. Its power is not bad. Let's call you a chi powder. The metal finger technique played an indispensable role in this battle. As the main offensive force, it broke through a first-order superior-grade golden bell shield talisman. Without the green spirit shield, Jiren would have died earlier from the bizarre cultivator's talisman attacks. He couldn't be sure his own defenses could withstand a large number of them. Using multiple defensive spells is safe, but the downside is the rapid consumption of spiritual power, which isn't conducive to prolonged combat. It's best to specialize in one defensive spell and raise its proficiency level until the defense is sufficient. The Grandmaster level metal finger technique is tremendously destructive, so there's no need to focus on grinding other offensive spells for now. The metal finger technique, combined with the itchy powder, can achieve wondrous effects. The insect control technique is crucial. The mosquitoes responsible for surveillance are like my eyes. If I hadn't detected the bizarre cultivator in time, I would most likely have died from a sneak attack. Having just experienced a thrilling battle, Jiren analyzed the gains and losses of this fight. The nervousness from killing someone for the first time gradually settled. Someone wanted to kill me, and I wouldn't sit idly by and wait for death. If the bizarre cultivator didn't die, I would be the one to perish. Jiren glanced at the bizarre cultivator's corpse. It was riddled with holes and covered in filthy blood. He didn't approach rashly because there was an evil chi about the person. I still need to sleep in this stone house. I can't burn the body here, the smell would be too strong. Even the smell of burning platycodon was unbearable inside the house, let alone a corpse. In the kitchen, he found a fire poker. He used it to retrieve the storage bag from the bizarre cultivator's waist. Then, he controlled a few corner worms to wrap the corpse in cloth strips and drag it to the edge of the stone house grounds. He cast the fireball technique consecutively. The corner worms tainted by the evil chi, along with the corpse, were incinerated by the flames, turning into white ash. Cleaning talisman. A cleaning talisman was used. The blood, ashes, and any remaining poisonous quills were all swept away, leaving the stone house clean again. Except for the residual marks from explosions and blades, as well as the cookware, wooden table, and stone chairs destroyed in the battle, everything looked as it did before. Spirit eye technique. His eyes shone with a white light as he scanned the storage bag and the 3 verdant flying daggers' magic artifacts. A faint trace of bizarre evil chi lingered on them. It showed no signs of spreading and was slowly dissipating. It would soon vanish completely. Does bizarre evil chi rely on living beings to survive? Jiren recalled the loose cultivators infected with bizarre evil chi. Over time, the chi afflicting them grew stronger until they died. Was the bizarre evil chi on the magic artifacts and storage bag due to long-term contact with cultivators? Now that the source of contamination was gone, was it slowly disappearing? It's good that the bizarre evil chi can dissipate. Otherwise, I'd really have to consider whether it's worth using an evil warding talisman. Jiren had the corner worms drag the 3 verdant flying daggers' magic artifacts and the storage bag to a side room. He then personally destroyed the few corner worms involved and finally breathed a sigh of relief. He reset the explosive traps and confirmed the defenses were secure. Having just survived a life-and-death battle, Jiren was exhausted in body and mind and fell into a deep sleep. The night passed without incident. He woke up early as usual, feeling refreshed and full of energy. Jiren glanced at the stone house, now worn and tattered from the battle, and hesitated about whether to change his living quarters. The market is too chaotic. What if I rashly move and end up in a den of bizarre cultivators? The nearby loose cultivators are familiar, so it's comparatively safer here. How can I effectively prevent bizarre cultivators from targeting me and avoid similar troubles? Formations. With a guardian formation, weaker bizarre cultivators wouldn't dare to seek their own doom here. However, formations are exorbitantly priced, simply unaffordable. Besides, even if I wanted to buy one now, there's no opportunity. Formation-related shops are all in the inner city, and with the inner city closed off, it's impossible to purchase one. I've got it. Make the stone house look even older, abandoned. The main reason bizarre cultivators come knocking is that the stone house shows signs of human activity. If I make it appear long uninhabited, I can avoid trouble to the greatest extent. Who would bother robbing a stone house that looks like it hasn't been lived in for ages? Jiren restored the repaired parts of the stone house to their previous dilapidated state, planted weeds, and made it look overgrown. He used the turtle breath technique to conceal his aura and filled his pockets with dirt to cover his tracks. For added realism, he deliberately found several spiders and controlled them to weave webs in conspicuous places. Jiren looked towards his brand new home. The stone house was dilapidated, with drafts seeping in from all sides. Weeds grew untamed in front, devoid of any signs of cooking fires or recent habitation. The interior was draped in cobwebs, with a thin layer of dust covering the ground. At a glance, it was obvious the place had been uninhabited for a long time. The effect is good. But this doesn't guarantee absolute safety. It's best to prepare an escape route. In case I get trapped in the stone house, I can still escape in time. An underground tunnel was already part of his plans. With the corner worms working day and night, constructing it wouldn't be difficult. Another exit. Jiren searched the vicinity and found another stone house, similarly long abandoned. Insect control technique. As Jiren walked towards the dilapidated stone house he had chosen, a corner worm began digging a narrow tunnel 3 jong beneath his feet, continuously extending it forward. In the pitch blackness of the underground tunnel, some crookedness in the excavation was inevitable. Using his own position as a guide, he controlled the corner worm's direction to prevent the underground passage from deviating too far from its intended course. After the corner worm had dug out a main pilot tunnel, the remaining task was to expand it. Taoist Jia, I didn't expect you to still be alive. A female cultivator emerged from the stone house in front, emptying a basin of water. Her face glowed with health. She seemed to have been recently satisfied, exuding the charm of a mature woman. My skills were a notch better, so I was fortunate enough to win. The commotion from last night's battle was too loud to have gone unnoticed by others. The female cultivator had previously been relieved not to have accompanied Jiren. But seeing him safe and sound, her thoughts changed once again. In this chaotic world, it's always better to follow the strong than the weak. Taoist Jia is formidable. I, Ji, am truly in awe. A short, Chubby man with a cultivation level at the 3rd level of chi refinement emerged from the stone house behind the woman. He always greeted others with a wide smile. His gaze towards Jia-ren was filled with reverence. Those who dare to ambush and kill in the middle of the night are ruthless individuals. Jia-ren's ability to counterkill a bizarre cultivator is nothing short of terrifying. When dealing with such a fierce character, one's attitude must be impeccable. You flatter me, fellow Taoist. The two had crossed paths a few times but weren't well acquainted. The female cultivator, having been rebuffed by Jia-ren before, didn't dare to live alone and had found a fellow Taoist to team up with for mutual support. I have things to attend to. We'll meet another day. I don't want to expose my connection with that dilapidated stonehouse and invite trouble, Jia-ren thought. He went to the side room and used the spirit eye technique to carefully examine the storage bag and 3 verdant flying daggers left behind by the bizarre cultivator. All the residual bizarre evil chi has vanished, making them safe to use. I wonder how wealthy this bizarre cultivator was? I hope it's not disappointing. Chapter 28-28 The beginning of chaos. The 3 green flying knife artifacts were identical in size, each 2 fingers in width and 1.5 fingers in length, quite pocket-sized. Holding the 3 verdant flying daggers, Jia-ren played with them in the palm of his hand. They were cool to the touch, made of a material that was neither metal nor wood, unrecognizable. The verdant flying daggers were all medium-grade magic tools, of high quality, and belonged to the rare category of matching sets. Otherwise, a cultivator at the 5th layer of chi refining would not be able to control 3 medium-grade magic tools at the same time. The 3 medium-grade verdant flying daggers were worth at least 200 spirit stones, definitely the most valuable treasures he had ever seen. Jia-ren felt fortunate. If he hadn't insisted on buying the consumable magic artifact, the green spirit shield, and had only relied on a low-grade defense artifact, he definitely wouldn't have withstood the attacks from 3 medium-grade magic tools. Yesterday's cause, today's effect. Jia-ren solemnly put away the 3 daggers and turned his attention to the storage bag. The storage bag was not the rumored storage magic artifact that could recognize its owner, it had no prohibitions and could be used by anyone who obtained it. Jia-ren emptied the contents of the storage bag onto the ground, resulting in a clutter of assorted items. He tossed aside the useless objects and focused on the items imbued with spiritual energy. In total, there were 25 spirit stones and 8 fragmented spirits. 377 taels of gold. 1 silkworm inner armor, a low-grade defense artifact. 1 bottle of spirit bud elixir containing 7 pills. 2 bottles of unidentified elixirs. 3 packs of unknown poison powder. 5 gin of green bud rice. The items were very disorganized and quite jumbled. The elixirs, spirit stones, and miscellaneous items together were worth no more than 50 spirit stones. The total haul was at least 250 spirit stones, which for Jia-ren, who was not very wealthy, could be considered a sudden windfall. No man becomes rich without a windfall, just as no horse gets fat without nighttime grazing. No wonder so many people enjoy being bizarre cultivators. It's profit without capital. You lie down as a corpse if you lose, and if you win, you take all the cultivator's possessions. The bizarre cultivator bought a set of medium-grade offensive magic tools with spirit stones. Infected with the bizarre evil chi and unable to afford an evil warding talisman, was that why he turned to being a bizarre cultivator? Infected with bizarre evil chi and lacking enough spirit stones to purchase an evil warding talisman, one couldn't help but doubt his motives. He must have harbored the intent to kill upon possessing powerful weapons. Instead of thinking about selling the magic tools for an evil warding talisman, he turned to robbery. Indeed, one shouldn't hold too many expectations for the human heart in a perilous world. Compared to that, loose cultivators who are so impoverished that they could never afford an evil warding talisman are the truly pitiable ones. The world is in chaos. I need to ensure my own safety. I'll hold off going to Grand Wilderness Mountain for now. I'll replenish my supplies before planning to enter seclusion for cultivation. Jia-ren still had over 40 gin of spirit rice, barely enough to last him more than 10 days. The chaos caused by the bizarre evil chi will likely not be resolved in just 10 days. His reserves were insufficient. Beyond that, he wanted to purchase turtle demon beasts and make turtle spirit ointment. I'll first visit the market to take a look and gather some intelligence. Jia-ren cast an additional layer of spirit shield for defense, both to prevent sneak attacks and to avoid infection by the evil chi. As usual, he used the wind control skill, hurrying towards the market. The northern district market had become even more desolate, with the number of loose cultivators setting up stalls reduced to 1/3 of the peak period. The few stalls there were spaced far apart, unwilling to get close to each other. Where is the market's supervisory staff? The market supervision personnel were stationed at the most conspicuous part of the market, specifically collecting stall fees from loose cultivators. The stone house was empty, the steward nowhere to be found. The law enforcement office has moved back to the inner city. The outer city has been abandoned long ago. Fellow Taoist, buy a magic artifact for self-defense to take back with you. The eagerly selling loose cultivator gave Jiren a tip while pitching the magic artifacts on his stall. There was a wide variety of magic artifacts, quite disorganized, not crafted by the hands of a single artifact refiner. The prices weren't cheap, compared to the previous days, they had increased by an average of 50%. If one wished to sell magic artifacts, now was a good time. All the way there, he saw many stall owners, the majority of whom, like Jiren, maintained a spirit shield to prevent being ambushed. This was to avoid being robbed of their possessions and treasures. Thieves were more rampant than before, a veritable disaster. The outer city could maintain order and safety only thanks to the power of the Five Elements sect. Without a law enforcement office, it's hard to imagine the outer city not falling into chaos. With no deterrent, bizarre cultivators rob without punishment. The cost of violating morals and order is negligible, everyone pursues their greatest benefit. If a man doesn't fend for himself, heaven and earth will destroy him. Get lost. Jiren brandished his magic sword, scaring away the encroaching thieves. He couldn't stay in the market for long. He rushed to the familiar meat vendor's stall, only to find it empty, the butcher nowhere to be seen. No hope of getting Turtle Demon Beast now. Jiren shook his head with a sigh, his plan to get Turtle Spirit ointment thwarted again. Chaos also represents opportunity. Faced with crises, those loose cultivators with poor risk resistance might sell off their possessions, and the likelihood of them selling inheritances of the four arts of cultivation increases. At this thought, Jiren's eyes lit up. He quickly scanned each stall, searching for possible inheritances of these skills. Unfortunately, the result was disappointing. After searching the whole market in the northern district, he found nothing of relevance. Alas, those who control the inheritances of the four arts of cultivation and have the capacity have moved to the inner city. Even if they sell, they won't sell in the outer city. With his hopes dashed, Jiren hurried to a rice shop to stock up on some spirit rice. Ditong Rice Shop, being close to the inner city, was in a great location. Unlike many shops that were closed, Ditong Rice Shop was always open and attracted many loose cultivators looking to buy rice. It was rumored that Ditong Rice Shop was owned by the Five Elements sect. Even after the law enforcement office had withdrawn and stopped maintaining order, the business of making money did not stop. Ditong Rice Shop had its guardian formation activated, and the steward in charge was now a powerful cultivator at the 9th level of chi refinement. Why is the green bud rice so expensive? 2 fragmented spirits for 1 jin? Ordinary rice is already gone? How are we supposed to live like this? The price of spirit rice had doubled compared to before, a rise that was still within an acceptable range. Life must go on. Without ordinary rice, one could only buy the expensive spirit rice. Something's wrong, the weight is off. A 5-tail scale? I bought 10 jin, but it's only 5 jin? 5 jin of green bud rice is missing. Ditong Rice Shop had a good reputation, and most loose cultivators just bought their spirit rice and left. However, some noted the discrepancy in weight. For the loose cultivators at the bottom, struggling to make a living, any money-making business was fair game, and many cultivators were quite sensitive about weight. After getting 10 jin of spirit rice, they realized something was amiss. The steward sitting in charge didn't even lift his eyelids as he responded indifferently. If you want to use the normal scale, then the spirit rice is not this price, it's 4 fragmented spirits per jin. Take it or leave it. If you cause trouble, believe it or not, I'll cut off your head with 1 strike. The aura of the 9th level chi refinement powerhouse exploded, and the questioning loose cultivator turned pale with fear and scurried away with his spirit rice. So deceitful. The price seemed to have doubled, but in reality, it had tripled. Unscrupulous traders took advantage, making a killing from the chaos. The loose cultivators had no choice but to passively endure, buying at the high prices with gritted teeth. It's too expensive. Better to take a trip to the Grand Wilderness Mountain. Many loose cultivators shook their heads and headed towards the Grand Wilderness Mountain. Should he go to the Grand Wilderness Mountain? Buying spirit rice at the Grand Wilderness Mountain was cheaper, but it came with risks. While Jiren was weighing his options, a streak of light flew towards him. A sound transmission talisman. Taoist Jia, the rewards from the Five Elements sect have been distributed. They have granted me the status of an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect, access to the transmission hall to select a cultivation technique, and a high-grade magical artifact. The status of an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect cannot be given to someone else, and only Five Elements sect disciples can enter the transmission hall to select cultivation techniques. The only thing I can give you is the high-grade magical artifact. Come find me in the Grand Wilderness Mountain, and I'll give you the high-grade magical artifact. Chapter 29 to 29 Death like the wind. The rewards from the Five Elements sect have been issued. An inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect identity, selection of cultivation techniques from the transmission hall, and a high-grade magical artifact. Any of these would make a loose cultivator turn green with envy. Bottom-tier loose cultivators with poor aptitude had no chance of joining the Five Elements sect. Becoming a Five Elements sect disciple, even an outer sect disciple, was enough to be considered defying fate and changing one's destiny, ascending to the heavens in a single step. This was not to mention becoming an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect. The cultivation techniques in the transmission hall were far beyond what common merchant guilds offered. As part of the Five Elements sect's foundational heritage, any single cultivation technique leaking out could drive loose cultivators into a frenzy. As for high-grade magical artifacts, it went without saying that they were expensive. The cheapest ones cost upwards of 300 spirit stones. A high-grade magical artifact from the Five Elements sect would undoubtedly be of fine quality, worth at least 400 or 500 spirit stones. Comparing the three rewards, the high-grade magical artifact was actually the least appealing. Should I step forward? As the discoverer of the insect plague, would the astonishing rewards bestowed by the Five Elements sect belong to me? Jiren shook his head, banishing the dangerous thought from his mind. Wealth is important, but safety is paramount. With the proficiency panel, my future is promising. There's no need to take risks for what will seem like trivial gains 100 years from now. Besides, the Five Elements sect might not be stable. The hidden forces are not weak, otherwise, the Five Elements sect wouldn't have abandoned the outer city. To go or not to go? Of course, I'll go. Jiren didn't want to buy spirit rice at 4 times the price and had been hesitating about making a trip to Grand Wilderness Mountain. Having just slain a bizarre cultivator last night, his confidence had surged. Jiren was willing to take the risk, and most importantly, his wind control skill was on the verge of a breakthrough. First, I'll level up the wind control skill. Wind control skill proficiency +1. 4 hours later, Jiren sat cross-legged, recovering his depleted spiritual power. Looking at the proficiency panel again, the wind control skill entry had changed. Wind control skill, Grandmaster, 1 out of 800, finally, I've reached Grandmaster level. Jiren exclaimed. All that hard work, day and night, wasn't in vain. The wind control skill was different from the metal finger technique and the insect control technique, its proficiency improved more slowly. But hard work pays off. After diligent effort, his wind control skill had finally reached Grandmaster level. Once he reached the limit of Grandmaster level and used a skill breaking point, he could ascend to an even higher realm in one go. This is truly exciting. With his wind control skill breaking through to Grandmaster level, Jiren's confidence soared. He suspected that even a late-stage chi cultivator wouldn't be able to keep him from escaping. Leaving the outer city of Great Wilderness Market, he sprinted at full speed into the distance. He moved like an immortal riding the wind, his speed unparalleled. Ordinary people would only feel a gust of wind sweep past, seeing no trace of him. The Grandmaster level wind riding technique, combined with the breeze robe, made his speed more than 6 times that of an entry-level practitioner. Jiren felt secure. With this kind of speed, he had nothing to fear from bizarre cultivators on the road. Compared to usual, the area outside the Great Wilderness Market was chaotic. From time to time, one could witness life and death struggles between cultivators, fighting fiercely over benefits. There were even corpses of cultivators lying on the ground, their Taoist robes stripped and valuables gone. The bodies lay uncollected, exposed in the wilderness. Chaos had erupted, and great turmoil was imminent. The outer city of Great Wilderness Market still maintained some restraint. The bizarre cultivators there didn't want to be constantly backstabbed by their peers and live in perpetual danger. For them, the real frenzy began after dusk. The area outside the Great Wilderness Market was completely different, a stage where the law of the jungle, the strong preying on the weak, played out at any moment. Jiren activated his spirit shield and accelerated at full power towards Grand Wilderness Mountain. Another one heading for Grand Wilderness Mountain. Leave your life behind. An ice spike, exuding a chill, shot from behind at high speed. A spell, the ice spike technique. A large, glowing spirit net descended from before Jiren, about to envelop him. He was caught between the spirit net in front and the ice spike behind, attacked from both sides. The two bizarre cultivators hiding behind a hillock sprang their ambush, coordinating flawlessly. Even if he used magic artifacts and spells to defend, he would be ensnared by the net of law, trapped like a turtle in a jar. Facing the subsequent bombardment of magic artifacts and talismans, he simply wouldn't last 30 breaths. Using such tactics, 4 loose cultivators had already fallen to this pair today. The price of spirit rice at the Datong rice shop in the market was high, so loose cultivators, trying to save spirit stones, would undoubtedly head to Grand Wilderness Mountain to buy spirit rice. Many ambushers lined the route, and very few loose cultivators actually made it to Grand Wilderness Mountain. This person is no different from the 4 unfortunate souls who died before him. The bizarre cultivators thought. Unfortunately for them, they had chosen the wrong target. Jiren was running at full speed, his pace incredibly swift. The descending spirit net missed its mark. By the time it fell, he was long gone. The ice spike trailed behind Jiren, never able to catch up. The 2 bizarre cultivators, who had been gleefully awaiting their spoils, were dumbfounded. What? It can't catch him? Indeed, the ice spike couldn't catch up to Jiren as he rode the wind. They stared at Jiren's retreating figure for a long while, unable to snap back to reality. In their many years as bizarre cultivators, they had faced many strong foes, but they had never seen anyone run this fast. Even spells can't catch him. He is too incredible. Ah, forget it. Let's find another one. One of them muttered. The 2 bizarre cultivators acted as if nothing had happened and continued to lie in wait. When Jiren saw the ice spike and the spirit net falling, he was inwardly frantic. Even though he had just survived a life and death struggle the night before, his combat ability was barely better than that of a beginner. Especially when facing an ambush by 2 bizarre cultivators, his heart was in turmoil, and he had no choice but to run blindly. Unexpectedly, he had run his way to a miracle. How thrilling! He exclaimed. As long as I run fast enough, death can't catch up to me. Death is like the wind, always by my side. The Grandmaster level wind riding technique didn't disappoint. Even spell attacks can't catch me. This is astonishing. Jiren had made several trips to Grand Wilderness Mountain, so he was familiar with the route, and it wasn't far. Even so, he still encountered attacks from 3 groups of bizarre cultivators along the way. The outcome was no different from before. Jiren outpaced them all, his incredible speed quickly distancing him from the murderous pursuits. Finally here. He sighed, stepping onto Grand Wilderness Mountain once more. I always get this feeling of being reborn. His mood was entirely different this time. Grand Wilderness Mountain couldn't be called safe, the patrolling mountain guards were gone, leaving it unmonitored. The immature spirit rice had also been ravaged, and the spirit fields were a mess. It was hard to imagine that only 12 to 14 hours had passed since Jiren last left. Grand Wilderness Mountain also had a response. Several spirit farmers had gathered to patrol, protecting their own property. Master Jia has arrived. The Great Wilderness Market is so dangerous, yet you are still willing to come. The spirit farmers are deeply grateful for your great kindness. The insect plague hadn't been completely subdued. Jiren's risky trip from the Great Wilderness Market to Grand Wilderness Mountain had indeed moved the spirit farmers. The insect plague will end soon, no need to worry. Jiren said, busy with pest control. The spirit farmers weren't idle either, looking everywhere for help. Even if the pest control continued, the infestation would be completely resolved in no more than 3 days. Who is selling spirit rice? Jiren asked. Uncle Wu Bao is selling. Taoist Jia, you can go to the west end of the mountain and see. A patrolling spirit farmer replied. Jiren bid farewell to the patrolling spirit farmers and headed to the west end of the mountain. He indeed encountered a familiar spirit farmer selling spirit rice, along with a few loose cultivators from the Great Wilderness Market purchasing it. The price of green bud rice had risen to 2 fragmented spirit stones per pound. The advantage was that the weight was accurate, unlike the Datong rice shop, which was known for its deceptive weighing practices. Taoist Jia, please don't come over for now. I'll give you the high-grade magical artifact after a while. Just as Jiren was about to purchase spirit rice, a sound transmission talisman from Yangbingzi flew over. Has he changed his mind? Chapter 30-30 Insect Tamer Master. Did Yangbingzi not want to fulfill his promise? It's no wonder Jiren was skeptical. People's hearts change easily, and there are too many instances where promises of bright futures end up being nothing but empty words. A high-grade magical artifact was definitely a huge fortune for Yangbingzi, and giving such a precious treasure to someone else would certainly be painful. Empty promises and giving away wealth are not the same. One involves no loss, the other is like cutting flesh from one's own body. In a world where morals have decayed, there are too few who are willing to keep their word. No more thoughts, it's time to buy spirit rice. Master Jia has arrived, you're here to buy spirit rice. Just the usual price. 1 fragmented spirit stone per caddy. Jiren had just removed pests for Uncle Wu Bao, the spirit farmer, whom he knew very well. Why does he get it so cheap when he buys it? The loose cultivators who had just completed their purchase of spirit rice were angry. They risked robbery to come to the Great Wilderness Market in hopes of buying low-priced spirit rice, only to find prices had increased, and there were even limits on how much they could buy. The many loose cultivators who wanted to be middlemen, buying rice in the Grand Wilderness Mountain and selling it at high prices in the Great Wilderness Market, were displeased. Why should Jiren be able to buy spirit rice at the normal price? They first glared at Jiren, furious, then turned their heads to stare at Uncle Wu Bao. If you're willing to help us remove pests, the spirit farmers would also sell you low-priced spirit rice. Taoist Jia did not take advantage of our plight to raise prices. The spirit farmers are not ungrateful people. Want to make trouble? Forget about buying even a little bit of spirit rice. As more and more spirit farmers who heard the commotion gathered, they were much more united in purpose than the loose cultivators. The loose cultivators looking to cause trouble could only slink away in defeat. It's not easy for spirit farmers to earn spirit stones, so we need to let you earn some too. Buying spirit rice at a fair price was good, but Jiren didn't want to benefit too much from it. Rest assured, Taoist Jia, we've got clear vision. Yang Bingzi's mind is certainly not that sharp. We understand some things very clearly. The spirit farmers were no fools, they were already well aware of Yang Bingzi's capabilities. Be it discovering the insect disaster was man-made or the loans of spirit stones from Heavenly River Square, neither were things Yang Bingzi could have achieved. The two incidents had a great impact on the spirit farmers, not to mention that Jiren was willing to remove pests for them at a fair price. No matter what, the spirit farmers were not willing to make an extra profit off Jiren. The spirit rice is from our collective stockpiles, we can gather a little over 3,000 caddies at most. Even if we take it to the Great Wilderness Market to sell, we have no complaints. The new rice hadn't matured yet. The spirit rice available was from the inventory of over 100 households, totaling a little more than 3,000 caddies. Buying at 1 fragmented spirit stone per caddy and selling at 3 fragmented spirits in the Great Wilderness Market should pose no problem. Slightly more than 3,000 caddies of green bud rice could earn at least 600 spirit stones. No need, 500 caddies will suffice. Jiren had no intention of being a middleman, as traveling back and forth to the Great Wilderness Market was too risky. 500 caddies of spirit rice would fill the 2 storage bags he had on hand. The remaining storage bag was needed for magical artifacts, elixirs, poison packs, and other miscellaneous items, so it couldn't hold any more spirit rice. A stock of over 500 caddies could last at least half a year. If the trouble couldn't be settled in half a year, another solution would be necessary. Moreover, in half a year, the new rice harvest would have long been on the market. That'll be 50 spirit stones total. Jiren paid promptly for the spirit rice he acquired, receiving over 530 caddies of relatively superior quality. He got the best quality spirit rice at a low price, and even more in quantity. The goodwill he had unwittingly shown had finally brought him some reward. In this world, there are still some people who hold fast to their inherent goodness. Jiren paid the spirit stones readily, thinking of helping another family with pest removal. As the situation worsened, the insect tamer masters hired by the spirit farmers could no longer continue pest removal. They also had to organize mountain patrols to prevent loose cultivators from stealing and damaging the spirit rice, leaving them unable to address the pest infestation. The capable must do more work, and Jiren did his best to minimize the losses for the spirit farmers. After Jiren dealt with the pest issue in 20 acres of spirit field, the sky grew dark. He turned down the spirit farmers' offer to stay overnight. The spirit farmers know I was the one who discovered the insect disaster. I might become known to the forces behind it, or even become a target myself, so I have to be cautious. Tomorrow, I will not come. Safety is the most important. Taoist Jia, I've been waiting for you for a long time. It is said that you are looking for turtle demon beasts. The Ming brothers told me that their family has raised a few spirit turtles. Pick a time, and they will trade with you. Turtle demon beasts? Finally, some news. Upon hearing the words Ming family, Jiren's heart tightened, and his gaze shifted towards the spirit farmer. Ever since I suspected Ming Wu of harboring ulterior motives, I stopped selling bug corpses to them and cut off all contact. Seeing that I'm not taking the bait, are they trying to lure me to their place? The Ming family has a lake for raising spirit fish. It's indeed possible for them to have turtle demon beasts. I'm seeking turtle demon beasts to make turtle spirit ointment, in pursuit of longevity. If there's a risk to my life, it's better not to go. Tomorrow morning at 5 Heads Mountain, be sure to be there. Jiren gave the spirit farmer a deep look. If my assumptions are correct, this person is leaking my information to the Ming family. He didn't want to startle the snake and risk being ambushed on his return, so it was best to delay if possible. Good, being able to help Taoist Jia is my fortune. Don't forget to help me get rid of the pests tomorrow. Jiren agreed with a smile, feigning compliance, before finally leaving with a laugh. Before he left, he cast a special glance at Yang Bingzi's residence, where the lights were still on. He did not go over but turned and walked away. If it is fated, it will happen. If not, do not force it. If I get it, I am fortunate. If I lose it, it is my fate. Just as Jiren had walked only a few steps, he saw an old Taoist with hair half black and half white, parted distinctly in the middle, striding towards him. Insect Tamer Master? Are you practicing the insect control scripture? I didn't expect senior brother to have taken on a new disciple. The newcomer looked at Jiren, perhaps having seen his spirit beast bag or sensed the spirit insects he controlled through some special means. For a moment, Jiren felt like a viper was eyeing him, and his whole body went stiff. Wind control skill. Without hesitation, he instinctively used the wind control skill to quickly put distance between himself and the old Taoist. Keeping away from this person was the only way to ensure safety. What fast speed. Interesting. Relax, I'm not here for you. We'll meet again someday. The old Taoist had a kind face, as if Jiren's earlier unease had been a misconception. Standing tens of meters away, Jiren watched the old Taoist walk further away before he finally let out a sigh of relief. That Yin-Yang senior Taoist is definitely a powerhouse, at least at the 9th level of Qi refinement. He probably isn't a cultivator from the Five Elements sect. Why would such a strong person come to the Grand Wilderness Mountain? Just as Jiren was about to leave, he noticed the old Taoist heading towards Yang Bingzi's residence. Yang Bingzi? He is here for Yang Bingzi. The insect disaster in the Grand Wilderness Mountain, the insect tamer master. It's as if there's an invisible thread connecting everything. As the one who foiled their plan and also received a reward from the Five Elements sect, how could the forces behind the scenes let Yang Bingzi off? Retaliation was inevitable. The reward from the Five Elements sect was like roasting Yang Bingzi over a fire. Should I warn him? After hesitating for a moment, Jiren took out a sound transmission talisman, activated it, and sent it flying towards Yang Bingzi's residence. Don't mess up my plans, or I won't show any consideration for senior brother's reputation. The sound transmission talisman was crushed by a giant spiritual power hand, and the old Taoist strode rapidly towards Yang Bingzi's residence. If a 9th level of Qi refinement powerhouse wants to kill someone, no one can stop them. Chapter 31-31 Exotic Black Mosquito. Alas, I've done my best. Jiren informed Yang Bingzi via voice transmission that he had done all he could. He had no power to save anyone from a cultivator at the 9th level of Qi refinement, and any attempt to intervene would only put himself at risk. Yang Bingzi had gained benefits and thus had to bear the corresponding risks. I'll collect your corpse another day. Without any hesitation, Jiren turned on his heel and departed. Boom. Just a few miles after he departed, a burst of explosive firelight erupted in the distance. Jiren, not too far away, used his spirit eye technique to observe. Yang Bingzi's residence had been violently demolished, collapsing with a crash. Amidst the billowing smoke and dust, 3 figures leaped out from the wreckage. Ha, a big fish. 2 middle-aged men clad in Five Elements sect robes laughed heartily as they attacked the Yin-Yang senior Taoist with their magic artifacts. Yang Bingzi cautiously retreated to one side, remaining vigilant. Trap. The trap laid by the Five Elements sect specifically for the forces behind the insect calamity had successfully hooked a big fish. The two of you are no match for me. No sooner had the Yin-Yang senior Taoist finished speaking than swarms of black mosquitoes, emitting a dark glow, flew out from his spirit beast bag. They covered the sky, numbering in the hundreds. These were not ordinary mosquitoes but a unique species, the exotic black mosquitoes. They were naturally adept at breaking aura shields and possessed formidable combat power. Mosquito Taoist. The Thousand Beasts Mountain is truly an ambitious wolf. The 2 Five Elements sect cultivators recognized the exotic black mosquitoes and realized the newcomer's identity, the insect tamer master from Thousand Beasts Mountain, Mosquito Taoist. Thousand Beasts Mountain primarily focused on beast taming, their legacy in insect taming was scarce. Compared to cultivators who commanded spirit beasts, insect tamers were generally much weaker. Mosquito Taoist, however, was an exception. He had the good fortune of obtaining exotic black mosquitoes and had made a formidable name for himself. It was rumored that no fewer than 20 late-stage Qi cultivators had perished at his hands, making his name widely known. Even with 2 cultivators at the 9th level of Qi refinement working together, victory was unlikely. You two will feed my black mosquitoes. The Mosquito Taoist gestured at the 2 men from a distance. The exotic black mosquitoes vibrated their wings and swiftly flew towards them to attack. Ling Luo Fire Disc. A disc emanating red spiritual fire flew into the sky, spinning ceaselessly. Circles of spiritual fire gushed out, transforming into a massive flaming ring that descended towards the exotic black mosquitoes. The exotic black mosquitoes, fearless in the face of the fiery magic artifact, dived into the flaming ring like moths to a flame. They were born with a protective dark glow, allowing them to remain unharmed amidst the flames. Instead, The spiritual fire diminished at a visible rate as the exotic black mosquitoes consumed the flames and flew towards the Lingluo fire disk. In the blink of an eye, the magic artifact's glow dimmed significantly, and it plummeted from the sky. My magic artifact. Such fierce mosquitoes. I have no choice but to use my trump card. Firebird Talisman. The Five Elements sect cultivator, with a pained expression, took out a jade talisman inscribed with a bird and activated it. A firebird several meters in wingspan circled in the sky before swooping down, enveloping the exotic black mosquitoes in a towering inferno. The Firebird Talisman activated the Firebird spell, a Foundation Establishment level spell, unleashing flames that were even stronger and more domineering. The exotic black mosquitoes, previously ferocious, lost their viciousness as their dark protective glow faded in the intense flames. Without the dark glow's protection, their bodies rapidly disintegrated within the fire. Damn it! How do you have a medium-grade talisman? My exotic black mosquitoes. With his exotic black mosquitoes suffering heavy casualties, the mosquito Taoist lost his biggest trump card. Without a moment's hesitation, he decisively used a flying artifact to escape into the distance. Without the exotic black mosquitoes, let alone killing Yang Bingzi, even escaping alive was now in question. The two Five Elements sect cultivators were not about to miss the opportunity to kick a man while he was down and pursued the fleeing mosquito Taoist with all their might. The three of them, one fleeing and two chasing, soon disappeared into the Grand Wilderness Mountain. So it was a trap after all. Jia Ren had not anticipated this twist. The rewards bestowed by the Five Elements sect were a setup. They had anticipated that Yang Bingzi would be ambushed and used him as bait to lure out the force behind the scenes. Being an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect was not easy. One could become expendable at any moment. After the formidable enemy had left, Yang Bingzi saw Jia Ren and hurried over. Taoist Jia, after the Five Elements sect awarded me the prize, they informed me I was to lure out the mastermind behind the insect calamity. I almost made you come here in vain. This is the magic artifact I promise you. Yang Bingzi presented a dark green long staff to Jia Ren. Inside the dark green long staff, a great number of runes were densely packed, far surpassing the verdant flying daggers in quantity. It was clearly not a mundane item. A high-grade magic artifact? Jia Ren's gaze lingered on the dark green long staff for a moment. He knew he could take possession of a precious high-grade magic artifact whenever he wished. No need. Jia Ren said. That magic artifact suits you better. He hesitated for a moment but ultimately decided to decline. It was false to say he was not tempted by a high-grade magic artifact. But some things were far more important than a high-grade magic artifact. Taoist Jia, this is what I promised you. One cannot be dishonest. Jia Ren's refusal made Yang Bingzi anxious. Yang Bingzi knew full well that everything he had obtained was thanks to Jia Ren. Without him, becoming an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect would have been impossible. One must not forget to repay kindness. A high-grade magic artifact with the Five Elements sect's mark will only bring me trouble if I take it. Jia Ren explained. If you truly want to help me, keep an eye out for inheritances of the four arts of cultivation. As a low-level loose cultivator, Jia Ren had access to very few channels and resources. He had always been searching for the four arts of cultivation but had found nothing so far. Without special circumstances, who knew how long it would take for Jia Ren to find the inheritances of the four arts of cultivation? The bait business had no market, and the insect extermination work was about to end. Jia Ren was losing his means of earning spirit stones. No matter how many spirit stones he possessed, they would eventually be depleted if he only consumed without turning. Yang Bingzi, now an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect, had contact with the sect's elite. This made it much easier for him to obtain inheritances for array formations, alchemy, artifact refinement, and talisman crafting. With the proficiency panel, mastering the four arts of cultivation would not be difficult for Jia Ren. He could easily elevate them to an extremely high level. Wouldn't it be easy to earn spirit stones then? It seemed like he was giving up a high-grade magic artifact, but he was actually investing in his future. Regarding the reciprocity of favors, once this debt of gratitude was repaid, Yang Bingzi might feel less obligated and thus less inclined to put his utmost effort into helping him in the future. Rest assured, Taoist Jia, I will do everything in my power to help you. Understanding Jia Ren's thoughts, Yang Bingzi did not persist and assured him with a pat on his chest. Hopefully, everything would go smoothly. Just as Jia Ren was about to leave, he remembered the exotic black mosquitoes summoned by the Yin-Yang senior Taoist. They had destroyed a high-grade magic artifact, leaving a deep impression on Jia Ren. Compared to them, the spirit insects he controlled were rubbish. Jia Ren arrived at the site of the battle. The ground was strewn with scorched marks from the flames, and many spirit fields had suffered collateral damage. Fortunately, the fire had not spread, so the damage to the spirit fields was minimal. After some searching, he found a dim, lusterless disc-shaped magic artifact and about a dozen charred bodies of exotic black mosquitoes. Most of the exotic black mosquitoes were dead, with only a few barely clinging to life. I wonder if they can be revived? If I could command the exotic black mosquitoes, they would become a trump card in my hand. Carefully, he collected the 5 surviving exotic black mosquitoes to see if they could be saved. Jiren did not covet the dimmed high-grade magic artifact. He tossed it to Yang Bingzi, for him to take back and report. With the magic artifact lost, the 9th level of Chi refinement cultivator from the 5 Elements sect would not let the matter rest. Yang Bingzi had just joined the 5 Elements sect and would likely face difficulties. This situation wouldn't be conducive to him providing Jiren assistance from within the sect. It was highly probable that it would attract trouble to himself, a loss outweighing the gain. Jiren would not seek his own doom for immediate gain. Chapter 32-32 Safeguard Team. It was getting late when Jiren bid farewell to Yang Bingzi and hurried towards the Great Wilderness Market. On the way there, as expected, he encountered an ambush by bizarre cultivators, but he left them doubting their life choices as he streaked away. Even though it wasn't the first time he had experienced the speed of the Grandmaster level wind riding technique, he was still awestruck. I still need to keep practicing the wind control skill. Once the skill breaks its limits, its power will become even more terrifying. He returned to his dwelling without incident and closed the door behind him. First thing, he took out 7 exotic black mosquitoes from the spirit beast bag, filled with anticipation. I wonder if they can be saved? The 7 exotic black mosquitoes were nearly wingless and at death's door after being scorched by the firebird technique. 2 of the exotic black mosquitoes didn't survive, losing all signs of life. Jiren placed the 5 surviving exotic black mosquitoes into the spiritual liquid prepared for spirit insects, hoping to save as many as he could. After all was done, he began his routine seclusion for cultivation. With an ample supply of elixirs on hand and the effective spirit bud elixirs, his cultivation progress was swift. The turtle spirit technique might not progress as quickly as the return to origin technique, but it wasn't too slow either. Supported by both elixirs and spirit rice, his daily increase in cultivation level was substantial. Both his progress in cultivation and the proficiency level of the turtle spirit technique were steadily growing. To stimulate my interest in cultivation, progress is essential. Thanks to the proficiency panel, Jiren's speed and efficiency in cultivation were visibly higher compared to ordinary cultivators, which made it easier to inspire a passion for cultivation and immersion in it. It's no wonder that ordinary cultivators who don't make progress after years of practice lose the heart to cultivate and crave pleasure instead. The original owner is the best example, with a stagnant cultivation level and addicted to dual cultivation, unable to extricate himself. Time flew by during cultivation, and before he knew it, 3 days had passed. The tunnel is finally through. After the incident with the bizarre cultivators, Jiren had the corner worms work day and night, and eventually, the tunnel was completed. The tunnel was just wide enough for Jiren to pass through and connected to a stone house 100 meters away. Now he had a retreat path in case of danger. Jiren had hollowed out 2 secret chambers below the 2 stone houses. At night, he would erase all traces, sprinkling dust everywhere inside to create the appearance of a long unoccupied home. He would then hide in the underground chamber to cultivate in peace. With this strategy, Jiren never had bizarre cultivators knock on his door again. In contrast, the other stone house owners suffered more or less from bizarre cultivators or were affected by malicious contamination. The number of familiar loose cultivator faces was gradually diminishing. Could it be that Taoist Jia has left? Just a few days ago, his residence didn't look so old. We were hoping to recruit him into the safeguard team. A female seafood merchant cultivator and a 5th layer of chi refining loose cultivator came to Jiren's place, looking at the dilapidated stone house with puzzled expressions. The stone house was full of holes, the ground was layered with dust, and cobwebs hung in the corners. It very much looked like it had been uninhabited for a long time. If it weren't for the fact that the female cultivator had visited a few days earlier, they would have seriously suspected Jiren had already left. Just as the 2 became impatient and were about to leave, the door opened. Do my fellow Taoists need something? Jiren stepped back twice to maintain a safe distance, especially looking at the female cultivator with a look of weariness in his eyes. Last night, when the bizarre cultivators came, the female cultivator fled, and her stout loose cultivator companion was killed. Not only did she survive, but she also quickly found a new protector. This one did not have a low status. What brings the 2 of you here? Jiren, already aware they had mentioned the safeguard team, feigned ignorance. Interrupting someone's quiet cultivation and not getting angry was already a sign of good temper. Fellow Taoist, you are capable of slaying bizarre cultivators, which shows your great strength. Our safeguard team invites you to join and help protect the residents' safety at night. The fifth layer of Chi Refining Loose Cultivator said. I have already invited several fellow Taoists to join. Not interested. To lay down one's life for others? Guarding someone else's safety in the middle of the night? Isn't that risking one's own life? It's not for nothing, the safeguard team is willing to pay with spirit stones. Zhu Yuanzing, the fifth layer of Chi Refining Loose Cultivator, added, fearing Jia Ren might misunderstand. Jia Ren remained unmoved. How many spirit stones for one night of guarding? What if you encounter an evil possessed loose cultivator? What happens if you get possessed? Are you going to provide evil warding talismans for the night guards? An evil warding talisman costs 40 spirit stones, no small sum for lower level loose cultivators. Can the safeguard team afford it? If Taoist Jia doesn't want to join, you can just pay a protection fee of 3 spirit stones every month, and the safeguard team will ensure your safety at night. So if the invitation is declined, they switch to demanding spirit stones? 3 spirit stones? How many lower-level loose cultivators are willing to part with so many spirit stones? I will not join your safeguard team, nor do I need your protection. If there's nothing else, you Taoists may leave now. Jia Ren had no interest in joining a safeguard team doomed to become a mess, and even less interest in wasting spirit stones, so he bluntly told them to leave. Why must Taoist Jia refuse people from 1,000 miles away? Zhu Yuanzing pressed. I also have a piece of news for you. The Five Elements sect and the Heavenly Sword sect are at odds, seemingly ready for war, with no energy to care for the life and death of the outer city. Do you still harbor hope that the Five Elements sect will take action? I'll give you 3 days to consider. I hope Taoist will make a wise decision. Zhu Yuanzing smiled, turned his head, and left. Jia Ren paid no attention to the minor interlude and calmly continued his secluded cultivation. Zhu Yuanzing was not without abilities. He managed to persuade a group of loose cultivators by promising them a future. In the early stages, he paid out of his own pocket, offering high night guard fees to attract mid-stage of Chi refinement loose cultivators to stand guard, then used the protection fees collected from the loose cultivators to fill the gap in the guarding expenses, thus forming a cycle. On the first night, all was well. The loose cultivators were elated, and even more people paid the protection fee. 3 spirit stones were indeed a lot, but compared to their safety, it was still acceptable. Just when the loose cultivators thought they were in for stable nights, Zhu Yuanzing took the spirit stones and ran. The newly formed safeguard team fell apart. Those who paid the spirit stones were the ones who suffered the most. 3 spirit stones were not a small amount, and their already meager living conditions became even harder. He ran away? Jia Ren had been in seclusion all this time, only finding out the news on the 3rd day while cooking outside. The fee for guarding at night was too low, no cultivator was willing to risk standing guard. It would take a sufficient number of spirit stones to motivate them. The protection fee collected was 3 spirit stones per loose cultivator household, and there were at most 100 such households. 300 spirit stones might seem like a lot, but ensuring the safety of 100 households was no easy task. There had to be enough guards, and they had to be strong enough. 10 mid-stage of Chi refinement cultivators standing guard a night, at 2 spirit stones per person per night, would cost 20 spirit stones a day for this alone. This did not include combat supplies, evil warding talismans to dispel evil, post-mortem compensation for the safeguard team members, and a series of other issues. Compared to these needs, 300 spirit stones were just a drop in the bucket. Charge more spirit stones? 3 spirit stones already caused much dissatisfaction among many loose cultivators. If the price were to be raised further, the protection fees collected would not increase but decrease instead. Without enough spirit stones to maintain the safeguard team, failure was inevitable. Zhu Yuanzing, realizing the situation was unfavorable, made a wise decision to run away. The only ones who were hurt were the loose cultivators seeking safety. Bizarre cultivators, the spread of evil energy pollution, fraud, soaring prices. Lower-level loose cultivators not only fail to earn spirit stones but also have to endure a series of hardships. It's too difficult. The only thing to do now is to protect myself. After Jia Ren had his meal and cleaned up the traces, he returned to the underground chamber and looked at the exotic black mosquitoes soaking in the spiritual liquid. Chapter 33-33, 5th layer of Chi refining. The underground chamber wasn't large and was divided into a cultivation room and an insect breeding room. The cultivation room was used for cultivation and improving skill proficiency, while the insect breeding room housed spirit insects. 3 types of spirit insects were placed in the insect breeding room. The poisonous spine insects, controlled by the insect taming technique with a spirit contract mark, were still in their larval stage, totaling 38. The poisonous spine insects mainly provided poisonous spines for creating itching powder and would not participate in combat. After contracting corner worms, 144 were hatched. Accounting for the ones that died, 112 remained as minor helpers. The corner worms were currently unemployed since the underground chamber was completed. Finally, there were the exotic black mosquitoes. 2 of the exotic black mosquitoes didn't make it, leaving only 3 alive. 2 had lost their wings and couldn't fly. Only 1 solitary mosquito could be used as a combat unit. It isn't the small number of survivors that's scary, but rather the fear of none surviving at all. As long as the female exotic black mosquito survived, given some time for cultivating and breeding, he could, like the mosquito Taoist, breed a force of hundreds. Jia Ren had witnessed the ferocity of the exotic black mosquitoes firsthand. Even spiritual fire and a high-grade magical artifact couldn't handle them. It took a mid-grade firebird talisman to take them down. Once the exotic black mosquitoes formed a swarm, even cultivators in the late-stage chi refining could be fought and overcome. Jia Ren looked at the 3 exotic black mosquitoes. Despite resting for several days, they still looked listless. He had been hesitant to use the insect control technique because he was worried they were too weak and could die from mishandling. He couldn't delay any longer. If the exotic black mosquitoes recovered and took the opportunity to kill him during his cultivation, it would be a humiliating death. Insect control technique. At Grandmaster level complete, his insect control technique easily controlled the 3 exotic black mosquitoes, a standard above even the mosquito Taoists. Unlike controlling other spirit insects, exotic black mosquitoes endured greater mental pressure. Controlling 1 took as much mental energy as controlling 5 corner worms. The corner worms could be controlled up to 80 at a time, but the forcefully control limit for exotic black mosquitoes was 16. The insect taming technique controls more insects, so it will be the main focus. Rest well, the army of exotic black mosquitoes relies on you. After changing the spiritual liquid, Jia Ren returned to the cultivation room. With a thought, the proficiency panel appeared. Name, Jia Ren, lifespan, 30 out of 75, realm, chi refining 4th level, 322 out of 400, cultivation technique, tortoise spirit technique 4th level, 349 out of 400, spells, wind control skill, grandmaster, 368 out of 1600, fireball technique, proficient, 33 out of 200, spirit eye technique, proficient, 186 out of 200, spirit shield, proficient, 25 out of 200, sunlocking technique, skilled, 196 out of 400, return to origin sword chi, proficient, 148 out of 200, gather water spell, beginner, 30 out of 100, tempting bait, fish, grandmaster, ultimate, plus, insect control technique, spirit, grandmaster, ultimate 2, insect taming technique, spirit contract mark, proficient, 82 out of 200, metal finger technique, grandmaster, ultimate, plus, turtle breath technique, beginner, 21 out of 100, turtle prime spirit armor, beginner, 11 out of 100, skill breaking point, 1.275. After accumulating over several days, his skill breaking points had once again reached above 1. The wind control skill was still a long way from reaching the ultimate grandmaster level, so it wasn't currently usable for breakthroughs. The insect control technique had been broken through once, and breaking through a second time required even more skill breaking points. The techniques currently meeting the requirements were the metal finger technique and the tempting bait. The metal finger technique had just performed exceptionally well, and Jia Ren was not stingy. He decisively tapped the plus sign behind metal finger technique. Metal finger technique, Great Grandmaster, 1688 out of 3200. The breakthrough for metal finger technique was successful, elevating it to the realm of Great Grandmaster. Jia Ren felt a deeper understanding of metal finger technique welling up inside him. It was as if, after practicing metal finger technique for decades, he had achieved enlightenment overnight and successfully broken through. A golden light condensed on the index finger of his right hand as if it was tangible. With a single tap, the golden light suddenly appeared, silently piercing through the mud wall. Peering through the hole left in the mud wall, Jia Ren saw a crater of unknown depth on the wall of the insect breeding room. The speed of the Great Grandmaster level metal finger technique has increased by at least 30% compared to before, and its lethality has become stronger. With such a sudden close-range burst, few can evade it. I wonder if it can penetrate the defense of a medium-grade magic tool? Jia Ren thought of the green spirit shield. After hesitating for a moment, he gave up on the risky idea of damaging the middle-grade defense magical implement. Who would have thought this was a technique for killing insects? The Great Grandmaster level metal finger technique has become a trump card. Continue the cultivation. Spells are protective methods for the path, but cultivation level is the foundation. I will not leave seclusion until reaching the 5th layer of chi refining. After 7 days in seclusion, Jia Ren ignored the outside world and concentrated wholly on cultivation. This was his longest time in secluded cultivation. He consumed all the spirit bud elixir he had, causing his cultivation speed to slow down. On the last day, Jiren finally made a concerted effort, and his cultivation level reached the 5th layer of chi refining. Haha, I'm at the 5th layer of chi refining. Although I am still far from foundation establishment, this is indeed a happy occasion. Without accumulating small steps, one cannot reach 1,000 miles. Cultivation is, by its very nature, a process of accumulation over time. Feeling elated, Jiren left the underground chamber to see the long-missed sunlight. Perhaps it was because he had been underground for too long, his skin was damp and slightly pale from not having seen sunlight for an extended period. He cooked a pot of spirit rice to fill his empty stomach. It's time to buy some elixirs. He had enough spirit rice but lacked elixirs for cultivation. Without elixirs to aid in cultivation, Jiren felt the difference in his progress. Even with the aid of spirit bud rice, the last stretch of cultivation took 2 days. Compared to when he took spirit bud elixir and progressed rapidly, the psychological gap was too great. Depending only on meditation for cultivation, who knows when he would break through to the 6th layer of chi refining, not to mention the late-stage chi refining. I don't have a lot of spirit stones on hand, and there's no news from Yangpingzi at the moment. I need to figure out a way to earn spirit stones first. I wonder if it's been safe these past few days? Has the bizarre evil chi ended? Being in seclusion for many days had cut him off from news, he was almost isolated from the world. Jiren left the stone house and surveyed his surroundings carefully, remaining cautious. He didn't see any living people along the way, as if he was in a post-apocalyptic world, with only himself left alone. In the distance, the stone houses bore remnants of congealed bloodstains and signs of battle. The head of a familiar cultivator lay tilted in a pool of blood in front of a door, decapitated. His unattended remains, unknown how long exposed, were decaying and attracting flies and insects. Jiren approached and used the fireball technique to burn the corpse. He did this to prevent the corpse from spreading disease and affecting him. Taoist Jia, don't burn the corpse. It might attract trouble. The door of the neighboring stone house opened, and a scruffy loose cultivator poked his head out, looking at Jiren with a hint of surprise in his eyes. The two had only met once and were not familiar, not even knowing each other's names. Taoist Jia, I have a favor to ask. Could you help me arrange the stone house? How about 2 spirit stones? Jiren was utterly confused and didn't understand what was being asked of him. Following the loose cultivator's gaze, he turned his head to survey the various slightly dilapidated stone houses around. Compared to his professional distressing technique, their imitation was poor and lacked its essence. Such poorly aged stone houses wouldn't be enough to deter bizarre cultivators. Fellow Taoist, could you tell me what has happened recently? Chapter 34-34 Conscription of Loose Cultivators. Jiren did not spend much time learning about the events that had transpired in the past few days. Zhu Yuanzhang, taking advantage of the safeguard team, had scammed a significant amount, taken spirit stones, and fled, plunging the northern district back into chaos. The number of bizarre cultivators and those spreading bizarre evil chi gradually increased, with more and more residents dying tragically. Loose cultivators were not fools. Noticing that nothing had happened to Jiren's residents, they began to imitate him and made their stone houses look old. Unfortunately, they failed to capture the essence, and their traces of life were too apparent. Bizarre cultivators were not stupid and saw through the ruse at a glance. In just under 7 days, close to 1/3 of the cultivators had fallen to bizarre cultivators or succumbed to the bizarre evil chi, a truly brutal outcome. Not just in the northern district, the other 3 districts faced the same plight. 3 days ago, Thousand Beasts Mountain officially went to war with the 5 Elements sect, forcibly conscripting loose cultivators to join the fight. All these changes were within Jiren's expectations, except for the turn of events 3 days prior, which was completely unforeseen. The 5 Elements sect has gone to war with Thousand Beasts Mountain? Mosquito Taoist hailed from Thousand Beasts Mountain, the initiator of the destruction of the Spirit Field and Spirit Vein on Grand Wilderness Mountain. Now it seemed Thousand Beasts Mountain was backing him. The 5 Elements sect would not let this go easily, so the formal declaration of war between the 2 sects was no surprise. The only frustrating thing is that I've stumbled into a sect war. Is the 5 Elements sect not afraid of inciting a loose cultivator rebellion by forcefully conscripting them? Loose cultivators had no sense of belonging to the 5 Elements sect. Why would they possibly risk their lives for it? No matter how attractive the conditions offered, the vast majority of loose cultivators would keep their distance. Forcefully conscripting loose cultivators? That would inevitably lead to resistance from them and worsen the situation. The matter is probably not that simple. The 5 Elements sect has offered generous rewards, spirit stones, elixirs, magic artifacts, and even evil warding talismans. Those who demonstrate merit can receive them. Even so, only those loose cultivators afflicted by the bizarre evil chi would participate. Cultivators afflicted by bizarre evil chi? Jiren's eyes brightened as he keenly captured the key phrase. It was not until this moment that the fog in his mind lifted, and he finally understood why the Five Elements sect had not contained the spread of the bizarre evil chi in the outer city but only defended the core inner city. The Five Elements sect had purposefully allowed the bizarre evil chi to spread among the lower-tier loose cultivators, resulting in a staggering number of afflicted individuals. Evil warding talismans were expensive, loose cultivators could not possibly afford them. With no way out, they were filled with despair. By offering evil warding talismans, the Five Elements sect gave them a glimmer of hope. Are they using the evil warding talismans to drive the bizarre evil chi-infected loose cultivators as weapons against Thousand Beasts Mountain?